Okay, hello everyone. Just come into the uni nice and early. I'm doing a talk here today with Melissa, and this will be just one of the health consultations. If you go to the merchandising page in Consciousazine, then you can see some of the services that I offer. And there's two consultations, a more advanced one and a general one. I'm just going to today say this is a general one, but the thing is I always skip into the gnosis and the deep stuff anyway, so. Right, so me and Melissa have been discussing over the last few days a lot of stuff, but in particular very esoteric stuff. We're both spiritual people, and in my opinion that means that you're centered in your own light column, and instead of just being made up horizontally of others. So there's a nice little definition I run with for spirituality, because people say, what spirituality? You believe in this, you believe in that. No, there's no beliefs, it's just being centered in your own light column, and then all the stuff happens, all the crazy stuff happens, all the divas, all the angels, all the this and all the that. That's what I've found anyway. So we've been having some really deep sort of esoteric spiritual talks, and esoteric just means, you know, sort of under the covers or beyond the veil and that sort of thing. Not the mainstream. However, I think today's mainstream is becoming an eddy. So it's an eddy, it's not becoming, it's no longer the mainstream, it's becoming just an eddy, and it's in antithesis to the flow and antagonistic to the universal river flow of light. You know, these sick societies and the cultures that people think can go on forever, like, who won the football last night? Who cares? Fucking hell. Anyway, yeah, and that's it. They're creating a fucking, or fracking, hell. Because we're fracking everywhere, and we're lopping mountaintops, and we're doing this. You know, I'm going to the Amazon to even try and help save that and work with the shamans of the Amazon after I finish my degree. Anyway, so thanks a lot, Melissa, for donating. I'm currently a student, and everyone might not understand the deal. People donate to me. I'm the site creator of Consciousazine.com, and I keep trying to help people and lift people up, and you know, I believe that we're all part of the same system. And so what's good for someone else is good for you, you know? When you help people up, and that's why we share knowledge and stuff, isn't it? So, yeah. What did you want to ask anything, or what did you want to say? Do you want to say hello, or? Yeah, hey. We won't get her to say fush and chaps or sex. Oh, really? Oh, okay. And see, I think we need to get beyond the whole cultural thing, because it really keeps us back, and there's so many flawed traditions, you know. Just because something's a tradition, people act like, hey, respect your elders and you know, do this flawed tradition. Yeah, no, fuck no, thank you. You know, just be, I don't just respect my elders, I respect anyone at any age. They can be 5 years old if they you know, act right, so to speak, you know, if they are respectful, so to speak, like. Yeah, fully. Yeah, it's like shifting out of the grid. There's a good example for me to show people what shifting out of a grid is. That's a grid, like, do this, respect your elders, and a very hard line box. Now, what I tell everyone is we're stepping out of the box of history into the universe. That's what this addendum to history, the cycle ending and the oscillation of the time wave ending in maximum novelty domain, or the eschaton, which is from eschatology, that word, which means the end of history basically, If you look it up, it's basically telling you about the end of history, and it's got revelation with the apocalypse. And humanity appears to be walking into the apocalypse scenario. I really do think that possibly in the next year, or by the end of 2017, and it's currently the 2nd of the 8th, 2015, I think by the end of 2017 we're going to see possibly cashless society and microchipping, so that you can, and they'll bring it on the populace. I've got videos of, like, officials talking about it, so they are considering it. It's not just some crazy conspiracy from what I've seen. It's a little bit daunting from my angle. So they want to make it so you can walk in the store for your shop fetish, and that you don't have to even pay because you're such a lazy, dumbed down monkey these days. They've got us on the fluoride, so you don't even care about the fluoride in the water. That's how bad it is these days. Pardon me, I've had a late night. I had to console my shaman friend. And, yeah, so here I am. Anyway. Yeah, I'm just getting my energies right with the coughing and stuff. See, right now I need to be clearing my 0 point of my nose, and you can watch this video after, Melissa, because we're lucky we've got me on the screen so I can show everything. I can't show my whole body, but yeah, I'm mostly on the screen, or a bust, anyway. Anyway, so let's talk about something you want to talk about for a minute. That was just a general introduction, everyone, about sort of what I'm about. I'm an amalgam man who, I'm not in any grid. I've shifted out of all the grids. I have an archetype of Shah man, or Maitreya Christ, or Maitreya Christ, or I have a saying, elves move swiftly, you cannot see us. So I have elf archetype, I have gnome archetype sometimes. I shift through all these grids and all these energies. And what we found out from McKenna was that the time wave was this addendum to all the resonances. If you watch the video, he goes into resonance theory, wherein hemlines of skirts are rising and falling, to the beat of empires rising and falling long ago. That's pretty peculiar and stranger than you can suppose, as he said, Yeah, it's intense, isn't it? Like, how do you deconfigure that? It means, to me, that there are circles. Because if something's repeating, to me it looks like Terence McKenna got a 9th dimensional oscillation or something. A 9th dimensional time wave that turns into an oscillation here at our end. At the 9th dimensional end, it's like a circle in hyperspace, completely numinous and intangible. But that's the higher dimensions. Once you cross that 6th dimensional grid, the gates of heaven, and it is. And then you get into that 7th dimensional, it's this airy-fairy feel of colours, and it's the tunnel harmonics into particularity and particles and the wave, the wave-particle duality. And it's giving that feel, the 7th dimension of the colour light. And, above that I think is the 8th dimensional schematics. How we put sand on a speaker, and the sand moves into a certain geometry from a certain tone. And I think the word is the primal creator. And the tones, and well, I don't understand fully the 10th, 11th and 12th dimension. I've been thinking about it, but I don't want to get it wrong in front of everyone. So I'm not really spieling it off yet. Anyway, so this is what I do. This is what I'm about, just to introduce the video. And now we're going to let Melissa talk. Yeah. Yeah, so here's how I think it is. At some place, I remember Terence McKenna always used to say, Everything's made out of language, not little particles, not little tensor equations. If you think that the universe is made out of that, what a boring place you live in. And I really don't think that it's just the particles. For instance, the fifth dimension is the place of the loop and the warp of web of being, of the field. That's the unified field. That's in Lakesh, etched from the same field. That's what in Lakesh means. It doesn't mean I'm another you. That's just an interpretation. It means etched from the same field. And I know that not from anyone but my own Gnostic nomenclature, from hearing the ring or the tone of the word. And then you say, Ben, why is not every word Gnosis word? Because we have this surface virus and this organic portal stuff going on, the spiritless humans disconnected from their soul state. And you can see this mirrored in the world. This is not a crackpot theory. The whole system is set up to de-soul and dethrone you from your eye and your crown. The whole system, the matrix is like that. Anyway, so the fifth dimension is that living light, thick light. And once you cross the gate of heaven, the six-dimensional geometric archetype zone, you get into this more intangible place, these higher dimensions. Now the thing is, right now I'm explaining to you the manifestations of layers of light. However, the dimensions are not just that. They are worlds within worlds. There are beings there, and we have all these channelings, the Syrians from the fifth dimension. I'm a fifth dimensional sort of Syrian light warrior. We all know that much, the way I yell. And I have, and the other day when I did that status, the Pleiadians have the love and they can bring you home. The Octurians have algorithmic code, wherein what you give me, if the Octurian in me arrives and that spirit part of me arrives, it will algorithmic you. It will absorb what you're giving and complexify it and give it back, rigmarole it. And, I know all these energies, and this is just from feeling it. That's why I want to teach you to just feel it, Melissa. Don't necessarily listen to what everybody's saying, their exact wording. I mean, I think I've become okay at this and pretty impeccable sometimes, but still I'm saying, you don't just take everybody's word and that's it. Take in my word for sure, and take every man is your teacher. But, that whole saying of the grain of salt, and what I told you yesterday, one being trying to gain enlightenment off another, or one human trying to gain enlightenment off another human, is like one grain of sand trying to gain enlightenment off another grain of sand, as Terence McKenna said, And, the place of the now, what Eckhart Tolle talks about, what Alan Watts talked about all the time, and all the Buddhists and all these philosophies talk about, this moment of now, that's that fifth dimensional zone. That's the halfway point of the dimensional universe. Now, the dimensions create down through the dimensions, wherein they add upon the lower dimension. They add to it like a stacking process, like an embedded stacking process. Now, that's on the manifestations of the layers of light sort of idea. But then each one seems to be a world within a world. For instance, the third dimension looks like the only place we exist when we're not spiritually aware. When we're not connected to our higher dimension, you hear everyone call them sleepwalkers. I used to call them, pardon? Yeah, the zombies, the societals. But then I found that nomenclature of organic portal. And I got it. I went, oh, I get it. Organic, but portal. Like they're not in control. And, I do think that we're trapped within, so to speak, we are within cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle, right? It's a busy cosmos, right? And so I think the law of attraction definitely is, and there is also a law of division. You can disconnect from people. Have you noticed that? You lose connection with people? Yeah, so you want to keep it alive, or you want to keep attracting it, if you want to keep being friends. Yeah, so you've got it's a continual sort of process of, mounting it up and getting to the top of the mountain, so to speak. What's the top of the mountain? The asymptote. If you look on a graph, an asymptote goes up to a peak. Sorry, I can't figure out how to do this on the screen. Oh yeah, there we go. Which way am I going? Yeah. Oh, I've done it wrong on the screen. Don't worry about it. If you just look up asymptote, it's like a curve. and the asymptote is the top. And I think the shamans in general are the top of the paradigm of humanity right now, and being a human for one reason, because they've shifted out of all the grids. Like I said, I'm very asymptotic. I'm here to help people. Okay, we're back. Pardon me. I really shouldn't do that in the microphone. People hate that. So, I don't want to just fully discuss all the dimensions like forever, and I do it in like almost every video now because it's so exciting and it's better than talking about the football, so to speak. If you know what I'm saying. Something that matters at least a little bit. It's a real issue. You're playing games out there, people, while there's millions of people dying. I just want everyone to recognise this. And if you ever want to have a moment of silence for those who died in the elite orchestrated wars for money and profit, I think we should have more moments of silence for the people struggling today. That's just my opinion. Benjamin Kallenberg from Consciousazine.com, but hey, I'm apparently a no one. Anyway, what we've been discussing is a 12-dimensional model, and we're model makers. And I do remember McKenna saying that. Terence McKenna always said that too. He said, yeah, we seem to be model makers. And I went, yeah, true. We make models and we try to reflect it back onto the universe, and figure this whole thing out. We don't know where we are. And they say, that Buddhist saying, if anyone ever figured out the universe, it would collapse. What if that's an individual high-dimensional sort of saying? Because once you go up in dimensional rungs, they are like that onion analogy. There's an analogy of that the dimensions are like onion layers. They get bigger and broader in their scope. And that's what I said before. They create down dimensionally, so the higher dimensions sort of have a higher influence. And they add on to the lower dimensions, and the lower dimensions have the effect of grounding out the higher dimensions. So that's why there's an argument sometimes when even vegetarians say, sometimes I eat meat to ground me out, because it brings you back into body, it brings you back into the second dimensional mineral body. The second dimension is the domain of objects, the things made out of stuff. And I think we should use things, not people. I can snot on my shirt and throw it away. What's wrong with that? Well, it's a little bit grotty. But the thing is, it's a thing. I'm not going to snot on a person. And so in the world today, it's a bad analogy, yes, sorry. But in the world today, we have that going on. We're using people and we're, lusting things, and the things, we're becoming the things. Now, we're doing this because we've got this quick lifestyle. We're eating the second dimensional food as well. What's second dimensional food? What the hell is Ben talking about now? Well, this is not far out actually. This is very correct. Second dimensional food is, listen, a non-fractal, non-living synthetic product. Stuff that the white coats make. That's a drug, not a natural plant entheogen spirit plant. Like ayahuasca, that's not a drug. Neither is cannabis. It's a herb. I don't know if you noticed with your own brain, or were you thinking with someone else's thoughts? And that's what I mean about being spiritually vertical. I think for me. I'm a thinker, ergo sum for me. Not ergo sum with everyone else's thoughts alone. Yes, they're there to use, and you can benefit off another man's writings and teachings and integrate it into your own. But we've got people just being horizontal, which makes you a second-dimensional person. There's no higher-dimensional spirits. There's nothing like that coming in. Now, spirits incarnate on behalf of souls. So when you're spiritless, you're disconnecting your own self. You're not bringing yourself into the world. You're not living your fairy tale, and you're going to be trapped on the wheel of karma. You're going to live the same circles. Man's life like that can go on forever, till the end of the earth. That's why we have been implanted with a surface virus now here at the apocalypse to stop us, because it can go on to the end of the earth until they worship football. But it can just keep going on. These people are the crazies. I'm not crazy. I'm the mad scientist. I'm the crazy heretic guy. But that's not real craziness. That's genius. The crazy people are the people who are eating the synthetic food and becoming their bodies, and you're becoming satanic. Because in my other video I said the body is Satan relative and the ego is devil relative. And remember, the best trick the devil pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. So that's true, because look around at how many people think they don't even have an ego. Do you know how many people I talk to and they go, I don't have an ego, Ben? I go, that means that you are your ego. See, I've got what's called a qualified ego. It's porous. It's qualified. The universe is qualifying it because it has use and it has reason and meaning, and it's not erroneous, and it's not just completely going like Eckhart Tolle has insinuated in New Earth. Yes, it's a New Earth, and yes, the ego is going to be dissolved largely, because that ego is not individuality. Ego is that thing that makes you want to get it over other people all the time, and it's very neurotic. It makes you neurosis into your second dimensional brain, into the things made out of stuff, your mineral clay body. The second dimension itself is said to be the domain of things made out of stuff, the little balls, the little particles, the little chemicals, the building blocks of notoriety, variety, and contrast. That's the second dimensional domain. Now people are turning into these bodies. We've just got bodies. This can go on forever until we wreck the earth and use all the resources. And we can't just use this system to get a corporate person, Richard Branson, to stuff up his space flight. This is pathetic. Mars has 6 times the iron ore than Earth. We don't need to be trapped in a scarcity-based system when the universe is abundant. This is what I need to get across to people. The whole picture has come together for us at the end of history. Everything. I have a saying, me personally, I said we collapsed into Earth. Terence McKenna said history ended in green, and then I also add to it by saying the pieces lay on the ground for anybody to pick up. What pieces? Well, it said the indigos dig at the roots of the tree of knowledge, and I sure do, and I eat those suckers. And I dig and I rustle the branches of the tree of knowledge. And that's what the indigos do. What's an indigo? Watch my video. But in the idgo, the higher self notion, being connected, having the chakras happening, and so on. Now, in this world, I think this is all coming together. We've got a desouling system, and it's further desouling people via its dynamics, via the dynamics of this hype, the inflation trapping people in, the socio-economic statuses always dividing. You know, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. All this stuff, we can go on all day. Obviously, I can just keep spewing it. But everyone understands what I'm talking about, so I can stop and just say, we need to figure out the actual etiology of what's going on. We can't just stuff around forever. The tigers are dying. You know, all the animals are dying. You know, we've got an animal holocaust out there. Yeah, you know, I'm lucky. I'm lucky on the North New South Wales coast here. I actually, I do have, well, what is happening here? Are we recording the whole time? Yes, it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Oops. I don't know what's happened. So, it's about to cut out. Oh no, we've got, sorry, we've got a while. Sorry, I was looking at the numbers. Let's get back on track. So, yeah, I live in a beautiful place here, North New South Wales, Australia. In a way, I'm very lucky. They call it the lucky country, I get to surf with dolphins. I've had these things, they play with you. One jumped at me out of the water, landed only a metre in front of me, like smiled that it knew it was scaring the crap out of me. Because it launched, and they're pretty big. And yeah, it was a literal moment like that. He knew what he was doing, he was smiling at me and scared the bejesus out of me, so to speak. Yeah. I've also got a video on that, and in my video I said they're seventh dimensional. In that way, because they work on the tones. Do you know, that's how I correlated it. Yeah. I went, well, it's not fifth dimensional, because water is fifth dimensional correlate. Water. Why? Because it's a membranic, and don't forget what we've learnt about the membrane being the smart part of the cell. The nucleus is not some kind of like overarching brain. It's like more like a bit of a factory, and makes the proteins and stuff. But the outside, and it's funny, it has a revelation for skin and how you can see disease coming through people's skin, and all this stuff connects. So water, I think, is a fifth dimensional correlate, Melissa, because it has that membrane notion. It takes on memory. Now, if you watch my water video in the $30 Bandit Food Plant Teaching Series, if you watch my water video from Kay Dring, I've done one for her, I actually found out that by spiraling water, it regenerates its unpolarized state. So in other words, it recalibrates it to a 0 point state. No, that's a bad example. I'm trying to look for the right word. It calibrates it to unpolarized state wherein it has no memory, like back to an original state, like cleans the slate. Yeah, it cleans the slate, and so then you can use that water to pick up memories again. And that's what water does. And we have Dr. Emoto's work with the intending of the monks and the water crystals and changing the water crystals. Now, do you see the dimensions in that? I want to explain. Because we've got the geometry, the shape of the water crystals changing. You've got the intention, which is all this high dimensional stuff, like is willpower from the 10th dimension? I don't know. This is the stuff I've got to think about really thoroughly, what's going on in the high dimensions, and I can't figure it all out yet. But I do have some ideas. But so, we've got the... Yeah, isn't it? And now, this is for the future. Everybody listening right now, please. Everybody listening. So when we have these atom-making machines like Ralph Merkel and the head of biologies out there, all these headmasters of biology around the world are saying we have atom-making machines like, Back to the Future, where you pop a little thing in the microwave and expands into a meal, stuff like that too. But they're talking about atom by atom, how we're building hearts already. We're building hearts out of 3D printers. Well, they're talking about atom machines, where you build whatever you want out of atoms. Now, that's a lifeless concept. Do you see the soulless concept or the spiritless concept there? Yes, because it's a dead thing. You just say it's an atom. See how the universe cannot just be made out of freaking atoms, man? Hey, because that's a dead view. It's a dead... That's why scientists, organic portals are very good scientists, because they're on the surface information, the 3D info, the stuff that lands. They're not flying about up in the high dimensions. They're just looking at the stuff that's landing on the ground. That's a great analogy. That one just came out. So in the future, what we want to do is we want to insert the seventh dimensional, the tunnel harmonics. We're going to have to figure that out. How do we alter the particle? How do we change the wave? Not just does the observer change the wave, the double slit experiment, or is that powerful decoherence? Not just that stuff. We're going to have to get really into it. And we're gonna see that people like me are visionaries, and the dimensions are, and this model of 12th dimensional model is. Now, my friend Brad, as I was telling you, he actually, I call him a light coder, and that would be like 8th dimensional, 7th dimensional, 8th dimensional schematics or code coordination, and then, the wave, the tunnel harmonics, the actual feel, the color of the wave, and so on, the 7th dimensional part of it, and then he's drawing it into six-dimensional geometries, and he actually configured 16 dimensions. So there are different models, and today we're discussing a 12th dimensional model. I don't know the others, but you can see relativity in physicality of what I'm saying. So, yeah, so we're going to have to figure out how to add life. Cycle 1 of the universe is finished. 2012 was the addendum to the first bit of the universe, Cycle 1, which is reaction. Now we're moving to creation. And you can see that indeed we are the microcosmic reflection of like some kind of God, because we can alter atoms and ourselves. Go. Okay. Alright. Hello everyone, we're back. Is there anything you wanted to say, Melissa? Or? Yeah. Huh. Well, Terence McKenna used to always go on about elves. Everybody who knows Terence McKenna knows about his, well, not everybody, but everybody who's thoroughly listened to his lectures, and I don't know, I haven't read his books, but probably in his books as well, possibly in True Hallucinations, but you know, it's a very famous part of him that he talked about elves. Now, one time I had magic mushrooms, and they've got the chemical similarity to DMT, the world's most powerful hallucinogen, which I think is a future case use entheogen, and it's a crystal, notice, for the golden crystal age. Correlation. And I think it's going to be used to enhance our crystal room, which is the third eye, Danjen, or Tanchen from Taoism, or the upper mind, the crystal room. And right now people on the screen might be able to see a beam from my head. Now, yeah, we have that translinguistical lens coming out the forehead, as McKenna used to say it. Now, so he used to go on about elves, and he said one time, like my magic mushroom trip, one time stuff actually came out in front of me, and it seemed to come out. It wasn't inside anymore. Yeah, I wasn't looking in my eye. It was a vision that like came out into the world. One time this has happened for me. He said, for him one time, he said long ago when he first tried DMT, or like one time early in his DMT days when he was younger, it happened. And an elf came into the room, he said, and, you know, was speaking to him, communication. Anyway, the thing is, he always used to say, and, you know, in the future we can do that and we can make it into a hologram. Anyway, let's not go into my super syntactical super suit, which I was just telling you about how, you know, we'll see our emotions through colour like a octopus on a suit, and we'll shoot translinguistical lens at the forehead of the suit and so on. Let's get back to what your question was. So McKenna always used to talk about these elves. Now, he said that he would go to a place. Now, I have not had DMT. I'm about to go to the Amazon to have the long-release DMT ayahuasca trip. Now, he smoked it, and he said after 2 puffs, the wave would come, and you would be in some dome. There's all this stuff he used to mention like that. Now, he said, these things, they were like self-dribbling basketballs, jeweled basketballs. They were jewelry. Yeah. And he said these things would sing objects into creation. They would go bleep, blop, bloop, bleep, blop, bloop, bloop, bleep, bloop, and it would come make an object, and they were trying to teach him how to do it. Yeah, that's what he said. Interesting, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I know, it rubbed me up the same way. I was just, you know, like, okay, very interesting. So, you know, a normal person, so to speak, might dismiss this, but anyway, I think there's something in it. Where do I think the elves are emanating from? I have no idea. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, Melissa, I'm not the person to tell you where the elves are emanating from. The thing is, the dimensions I was discussing are a little different. That's a model. If we step outside of that model, which is what we should always do, because it's only a model, and the universe is much more complex than just a model, and that's why it's silly to say that everything's made out of little particles and that's at the end of the story. So anyway, what did you want to say? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I used to always have like invisible friends when I was kids too. When I was a kid. Wow. Well, there you go. What do the shamans of the Amazons do with the largest pharmacopoeia on the world, bigger than Chinese herbal system and everything? Well, they get vision plants and they go for a walk and they have a friggin' vision, mate. And so in my video, the affinity between permaculture and spirituality, yeah, see, I've got a lot of videos already where I've sort of discussed some of this stuff sometimes. That's why I always refer to it. I said in that one, I went against Bill Mollison, the founder of the sort of permaculture mindset idea and nomenclature, and that Bill Mollison from Australia, he actually lives just around here. I went up against him in, they're getting pissed off that people are being too airy-fairy and bringing too much to the permaculture class that's not like rigid permaculture. They're very rigid older people. I suspect it's possible he is an organic portal. Just because he created permaculture does not mean that he's a spiritless human. It can easily, they're not bad people. Organic portal doesn't equal devil. They can incline that way, but they're not just bad people. So, hold on, I'm coming back. What was the question again? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, well, in that video, that permaculture spirituality video, I was saying, I understand what Bill and Matt are saying, but I think we should allow people to bring in those high dimensional aspects into there. Now, I don't know where the fairy emanates from. The thing, in my opinion, doesn't emanate from anywhere. In my opinion, the fairy is just like I am, existing like in all dimensions. Do you understand what I'm saying? It can end up as a toy figurine, second dimensionally, or a person can take on that energy and dress like a fairy, and etc. But higher dimensionally, those essences are obviously floating around up there somewhere, so to speak. The idea of the fairy. Now, this could bring it together for you a little bit. I have an idea that there's an infinite timeless domain, and the light actually is God. The actual light, and that's not the fifth dimensional light, but what I've found through the dimensions is like correlation between dimensions. They work with each other in in ways like the fifth dimension would have correlation to the 10th dimension, the sixth dimension to the third dimension, and actually Rise of Fire from Goldwyn, Game of Enlightenment, Abundance, he's really good at that. He'll say the correlation between how the chakras work and how the dimensions work. That's how good he is. Rise of Fire from Goldwyn, Game of Enlightenment, and Abundance. That's where I've learned a lot of dimensional ideas from. That's not the only place, because I've put it all together from everything I've ever studied, basically, and everything I know. So, where's the fairy emanating from? I don't know. But the idea is that there's an infinite timeless domain, and that is what's actually pulling us from it's almost like a future state And the idea that Terence McKenna gave us was the same. And I had a vision 6 months before I met McKenna right at the end of the time wave. That's how special my relationship with him is, and I don't even know him. We're in sync. We're somehow in resonance. You see, me and actual McKenna, I think, in resonance. Anyway, so something like that. Anyway, there's some sort of resonance between us. Anyway, sorry, you distracted me with the ums and the ahs, and I couldn't think of the next thing to say. Yeah, right. I lose myself by myself anyway, so it's not hard to do, because this is complex talk, you know. No, just let me, I'm trying to think, Melissa, where I was. Yeah, so there's an infinite timeless domain, and here I had a vision that we're being pulled from the future. Then I found out McKenna actually thought that as well, and that was like part of his theory, that we're being pulled from the future, not being pushed from the, can you just let me talk? Not being pushed from the past out of nowhere for no reason. Because that's the idea of the Big Bang, that the universe is happenstance, it's meaningless, it just has come out of nowhere for no reason. We don't know, so therefore it's come out of nowhere for no reason. I actually like rainbow cosmos theory, that there's like no time limit and there's different, you know, it goes along the different gamma, the different electromagnetic spectrums having different time lengths. Very interesting, because they are different wave oscillations, so it would make sense. Anyway, so he had an idea, like I had a vision 6 months before I even met the fella, that we're being pulled somehow like from the future, and it makes sense because the presumably least complex state of the universe was when the Big Bang, the electron field, just electrons, that's it. It formed more complex atoms than complex biology, and here we are, you know. RNA, DNA, into very complex biology, and here we are, macro beings. We're made up of all these other little beings. Remember, there's 10 times more bacteria on your body than there are cells. So it's very hard to remain you if you don't look after your bacterium biomicrodome. It's very hard to remain yourself. That's why I use a lot of coconut oil. Almost every day I'm putting coconut oil on my skin, also to regenerate my liver. Anyway, back to what I was saying. It makes sense that we're being pulled from the future because it's a more complex state. This is what the time wave showed us, and it's just obvious that the universe is a complexity conserving and creating machine. It creates it and conserves it. And so it makes sense that a future, more complex state has more power, just as the computers are getting better and better, and we can do more and more stuff on the better computers, right? So it makes sense that we're being pulled from the future and not just from some electron Big Bang field. You know, the microwave background noise. See, they think they're noise. That's why they're lost. I'm a way shower. I see the way, and I see that there is a vector of the universe called a lighted pathway. Now the darkness, the dark ones, those who remain in darkness, who choose to stay in the dark, they notice they'll always be confused, they'll always question. I mean, I'm not talking about healthy questioning. You should see me, I'm a healthy questioner. I ask questions. Don't just take things face value and so on. But they ask, like, they're lost questions, what they do. They're in confusion, and the darkness knows itself to have all thoughts existing away from the stream. So what am I? I'm the opposite. Because I'm a way shower of the lighted pathway and the golden light, which is the central light. So it's very interesting. We can see that we're being pulled via a vector, and this is this asymptotic notion. McKenna had the same notion, and this all blew me away. This is amazing. He had the notion that there is a we're like pulled magnetically up the cone, or if you turn the cone upside down the cone, we're rolling along the edge. You might think of a marble rolling down into the pinnacle of the cone, and then you're sucked across the next eye, and then into a new ontos. And ontos is from ontology, which is the study of the nature of being. So we're going into a new ontos. Now what's that? The fifth dimensional earth. The age of Aquarius! Free love and da-da-da. Yeah, and so we're moving into a new ontos, which is a fifth dimensional earth. Now what does that mean for people? Well, it means more free love, and the fifth dimension is that membranic idea, remember? And it's always going to be about connection and sort of membrane. So the Om sound just helps you clear the third eye. Another one is an in, and you should feel it start to expand your sinus. Now what is happening with this sound? What's happening with this sound is that it's creating a certain vibration on the larynx in your throat, which is vibrating the third eye, or open, or revealing it via vibrating all the density away. And the more and more denseness you feel there, good, it's clearing in your eye, clearing. You can pull it apart like that. Sorry, I'm showing on the video. You can pull it apart like that. That's what I often do as well. Pull it apart. Pardon me. I just had a little burp. Because I'm a cherub. Okay, so that's called the throat friction. The last one I just taught you is called the throat friction from Samuel Sagan. And if you go onto the meditation page in www.consciousazine.com, it's there. Or you can just go onto YouTube and you can find his talk, Throat Friction. But otherwise, the Om sound is a good one. Om, and you do mudras too. Do all the mudras. Anyway, let's talk about some stuff that Melissa wants to talk about health, and I want to help her kids a bit. So is there anything specific before, because I've got heaps of suggestions, so. No, because you might forget, I guess, so it's probably better for you to ask. I don't know, I was at a girl's place a while ago, I remember like a year ago, and I remember, yeah, I have a good memory sometimes. I remember a little thing with how to check for breast lumps and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be something wrong, does it? I don't breastfeed, so I don't know if it hurts, but I'm pretty sure it hurts every time you guys do it, doesn't it? Like the little baby's teeth and stuff on there, or no? Or, oh, okay, alright. So they don't. Okay. So you've got a pain. Yeah, well listen, I am a shaman doctor, but I'm not a, really book-based medical doctor. Do you understand? Like, there is a big difference. Like, I can tell you a lot more about, for instance, here's a saying that Terence McKenna said. I love quoting that guy, what a smart guy. He said, there's no, psychology without psychedelics is like pissing into the wind. Now why? Well, because the ego, I reckon. I reckon that's what he meant, yeah. But, because you're kind of just pissing into the wind reading books and trying to do psychology on yourself sometimes. You don't get too far sometimes. But, we're getting better and better at that naturally, on the natch, anyway. And I don't want to hear anyone going, oh, we don't need psychedelics and you can do it all on the natch. Hey, I have plenty of natural visions, and I do both. That's right, we're amalgamen, we do it all. We don't dismiss part of reality as irony. So instead of answering your questions, Melissa, look, to be honest, I don't want to give you a bad vibe and say, oh, I don't want to answer your questions. However, in the last year, I was thinking to myself that that's not my way. It doesn't seem to be how I can perform. And it's almost going to be like a waste of your money, so to speak. Like, the only thing you can really do with an oracle like me is listen. There's nothing you can really do. Like, you can't ask a question and expect them to know everything, right? You can't expect me to know everything. I know what I know, and therefore, shouldn't I speak what I think I know? Because it's easier and it's going to be more beneficial and better put together and so on. I mean, I can research that for you in our own time, but I've got no answer for that on the video. So what I'm going to do is go back to what we were talking about yesterday and, like, helping your kids. And, yeah. Yeah, I want to put your kids into a higher vibrational state. This will help them cope with everything from feeling what neuroendocrine secretion, hormonal secretions they're secreting. Are they secreting cortisol? Do I feel like serotonin-ish right now? Do I feel doped out in dopamine? You know, so the more lucidity you get to yourself and the more higher vibration you have, you seem to be able to feel the lower vibrations, because if you think about the oscillation of the waves, it's reading it more, and a slower wave going through it, you know. A higher vibrational wave has more reading ability. It's touching in many more spots. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you could probably Google it and understand what I'm talking about online. But anyway, so like it's more informational, and you're going to pick up more. And I think it's a good idea to not just be vegan. You know, like David Wolfe says, even. In my opinion, David Wolfe and Dr. Kazara are number 1, number 2 in the world for health. There's no Dr. McCullough. None of them are as good as David Wolfe. He knows what he's doing, because he did it and he lived it. And he went the hard road, and that's what I've done too, and that's why some people will say, oh, Ben, you're really smart. Well, I went the hard road, and I made sure I learnt it for myself. And the funny thing is, I always get shown later. I get taught harshly and stuff, and then I get shown later proof and all this stuff. It's really weird. It's like, otherwise, if they showed me the other way, I wouldn't believe it or something, and other people wouldn't believe me. I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about. The high vibration thing. So, do you eat Himalaya Soleil? No. I'll explain in a second. Okay, I'll explain. But, I forgot what I was mentioning about David Wolfe, where we were at just before. I have to go back into that circle. It happens sometimes, sorry. Anyway, so what I want to do is get the charge up on your children by giving them Himalaya Soleil drinks. Now that's going to sound a bit crazy. Just stay tuned, folks. So Himalaya Soleil is a deeper strata layer. It's crystal more than it is like stonish. The Himalaya salt's more like stone-like. And you know how there's like 82 trace minerals in there? And I think Mackenzie's, not Saxa, salt is the best. Saxa has no black dark bits. Mackenzie's had black dark bits, which is actually anti-parasitical. That part of the Himalaya salt, because it's approaching Shilajit. Shilajit is like even more powerful than the Himalaya Soleil, and that's like this dark sort of tarry almost looking color substance, like brown, and its strata layers deeper as well than the Himalaya salt. So Himalaya salt is fine, and you can feel the difference in vibration in all these too, in all these foods. So the Himalaya Soleil, you fill the jar, there's like 3 crystals in a jar, it reduces the crystals by 26% by the time you take all that water out and you use it over like months and months. You just take a little teaspoon in the morning, or add a teaspoon to the drink I'm about to teach you. You fill it back up and it goes back down another 26%. Each time you fill the water up, it takes 26% of the crystals away. And so you can actually use the same jar like three times or something. I think I used it. And so yeah, it lasted, I don't know, like a year and a half for $7. Yeah, wow. Now, recently I've made videos showing that they're charging iPods off fruit. And the notion is, obviously, life force, and eating alive things. That's why I said earlier, you don't want to have synthetic drugs which are non-fractal beings and made by the crazy white coats in the laboratory, and who's, man's only been stuffing around for 10 years when the planet has been doing it for millions and billions of years, So that's why I trust the mushrooms and so on. Much more, anyway. So this drink, the Himalaya Soleil, you would want to put it with hibiscus and blue-green algae, because you're getting phycocyanin, the blue pigment, which is one of the most famous blue pigments out there at the moment, and blue pigments are very rare, and so if you want to be a rainbow child, it makes sense to be that, right? In all ways possible, right? Why not soak it up? It's a magnificent universe with some cool stuff to do. Why, you lock everything out? That's fear. Fear locks things out, doesn't it, Melissa? So, yeah, so we know love is the concressive force, I call it. Concrescence is where things coincidentia oppositorum into higher state beingness, basically. You are a concrescence walking in the woods because you're more complex than the wolf next to you or the bear next to you or whatever. We can make things made out of stuff pop out of our hands. We make computers. Just look at us go. So, anyway, I'll swing back around. I won't keep going on forever. We can tangent in many directions. This drink with hibiscus, so, hibiscus is the sweetener. That's why I mix it with the hibiscus, because it makes this whole drink taste good. And it's going to be like a cordial. Cordial is all sugar and stuff, and we don't want to have high fructose corn syrup and all this stuff. That causes cancer and all this stuff, and get your insides all sticky and you don't feel good. You don't feel as flowing, your cells don't like it. It's like a muck for them. It's like a muck, and they don't want to swim around in that, do you? So the charge, when you charge yourself with these minerals, I've noticed, I eat less as well. So that will keep them in a more high vibrational state, because remember, just about every yogi through the years, and David Wolf reiterated this on stage, you eat less to live longer so you can eat more. Yeah, it's just a funny way of saying it, but the idea is, fasting, basically, and just not overeating, because we're pushing breakfast, lunch, dinner, pushing. And the idea is to sometimes not just be pushing, not just every day, all day, turning yourself into a rubbish dump or something and eating bad foods. And so when you have charge in your body, I've noticed I eat less, so that's one good point for it. Secondly, the hibiscus mixed with the blue-green algae and the Himalaya Soleil, and you can put other teas in there, obviously, for flavour or for use. I actually mix up to 20 teas at a time. So you go nuts, do what you want, but that basic combination will be good enough for them to drink. I actually sort of took that recipe off Dr. Kazar a bit. He has a lot of videos that you guys could benefit from as well. Dr. Robert Kazar, and he's out of Hawaii, and he will show you how to clean your skin better than anyone else I've seen. Yep, he has a video called Clearing It All Out, Clearing Your Skin Out, really good video. Anyway, that's a little drink, and that's a little thing that I'd love to see you do for your kid and kids and anyone else out there. So there's a few things I wanted to discuss to tell you more. You said the other day your kid likes fruit, which is awesome, and I think it's great that some of these kids, their favourite thing is doing a little tincture or a tonic or an elixir here and there. And that's really cool, right? Because that's going to make a really interesting new world. Now, I reckon what I think is that we need to have apothecaries everywhere and push for that as well. We don't have apothecaries anywhere, well, not many. And like, for instance, I'm going to a healing centre that doesn't have tinctures, tonics and elixirs even. It's just like meditate, yoga, We need to expand our horizons into new horizons. And eclectic is the notion of the Andromedan enlightenment, the Andromedan galaxy, which is the current enlightenment via the Arcturian alignment. And you've noticed how the star beings, the Ceres, Pleiades, and Arcturus have spoken together in unison for a unity wave to come upon Earth. In 2011 was the galactic Mayan underworld wave. Hello, we're back, and I've stuffed up because with my headphones we couldn't hear Melissa, so now we're going to listen to Melissa for a minute.
Hi everyone, my name's Melissa from New Zealand. I didn't realise you couldn't hear me before, but that's all good. You ended most of the talking.
Yeah.
So we're all good. So we're going to continue with what we were doing for the children.
I apologise. Yeah, we will. I apologise to everyone for the sound of the recording because it was a little bit stuttery because I had my headphone in and I don't know if something's going on with it. But now it should sound better again. So let's just keep going. Don't look back, Melissa.
Oh, I know. Hey. I'm all good. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Okay.
What was that? Oh yeah. So. Though I did remember, and this always happens, it comes back to me eventually, what I was trying to say about David Wolf and what he was saying. It was about the whole thing about, if you've been vegan for the last 20 years, that might be right for you, but it might not be right for everyone else. Now, why not? I can answer that a little bit. Blood type eating is one thing I found out about. I have an O positive blood type, which means, and O negatives are even worse than me, it means that I need lean meat. I've gone online, I've found a little chart of some medical doctor who's made up a chart of eating, but I like how he made his chart, because he didn't say stop eating this, he said eat more of this and less of this. So I'm to eat more walnuts and less of normal peanuts for some reason. And what's the reason? In the end, why do I eat this food and that food? More kale, I'm going to eat white fish more, and etc. Because the way we digest lectin apparently is the difference in the blood type eating. Now the science I think is not very sturdy and it's not very big and there's not a lot surrounding it yet. Last time I looked, which was like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago or something, but it's new sort of understanding, but the basic idea apparently is it's the way we digest lectin, so the way we digest and stuff, and if there's different blood type eating, that obviously that to me signifies once again individuality over simple broad axioms which are airhead notions. To think that everyone can fit under one umbrella is always a bit of a silly idea, isn't it? Because we're individual, and I don't think there's other universes right now. I actually think that we are each a universe, and the universe is actually, there's going to be a universe coming out in each souled vector. Actually, each kind of soul is its own universe.
I would agree, actually.
It's a different viewpoint from the mainstream, and I think they're mistaking multi-dimensionality, so multi-universality, for multi-dimensionality. This model, the 12th dimensional model I've been telling you about, and I've actually gone into that on the science page. Let's bring this back to the eating and your kids and the kids of the future, because I understand this, so this is actually pretty important. I'm saying this to myself right now, this is pretty important because these are the children of the future who are going to create the new world. So, I mean, I can't stuff up here. Pressure. So, there's videos like by Teal Swan on what foods can help you have a more open eye. For instance, a hot shower raises your vibration. But why and how? This I've heard no one say. Why and how? Why should a hot shower raise one's body and mind? Well, what if it is raising one out of body into mind? And that's what I think it's doing. I think it's an efferent nervous system cure. The efferent nervous system is like the capillaries, the outer nervous system. The CNS is the central nervous system, and that's why we do Mantak Chia orchestrated microcosmic orbit. You can look up Mantak Chia. He's a master. He's a Taoist. That's why we do the Kundalini technique, which I learned from Saharasa or the Google Tech Talks video. All this is in Consciousazine.com. Whoa, what's that? Was that you?
Sorry.
You're right. What was I saying?
Sorry.
Oh yeah, everything's in Consciousazine on the meditation page there, if I mention a meditation. Anyway, so, and there's another point. Meditation, you really need to get your kids to meditate. If they're crystal, indigo, rose, rainbow children, starseed's birthing on gear, we need to facilitate that in the right way, and that is the wrong way to facilitate them, or not facilitating them, would be to give them, the normal food. And that will bring them back down into body. I actually had one whole 7 years of this, a whole cell cycle. And it's funny that it was 7 years. Melissa liked numbers. Why 7? What did 7 mean? It was only one cell cycle in 7 years that I ate bad food in my life, and it was for reason and meaning, because I can see the rest of my life I'm not going to, and I'm a big healer. And that reason was my 7, the 7 Jesus fish, my Maitreya Christ energy that I carry. I'm actually a Maitreya Christ carnation energy as well, amongst other things. So if we're to facilitate people like these crystal children, it's going to fall on people like me, people like David Wolf, and so on. The people that, are the spirited humans. Don't go to the organic portal people. They can't help you. They'll just, they'll give you another illness while they're trying to fix you by giving you a bloody antibiotic or something stupid. That's how genius our medical doctors have become. Anyway. Not. So, to facilitate these young, high vibration kids, definitely meditation is obviously like number one. So obviously you have air. Let's go through element eating. David Wolf's friend, what's his name? Something Vitalis. Is it David Vitalis? No, it's something Vitalis. Daniel Vitalis. He has actually got this notion from him. He also does element eating through the elements, purifying your water, purifying your earth element, which I think is like root vegetables and stuff,
Yes.
Purifying your air element. So here's one we can talk about for just a second. The air element's pretty important. It's obviously the top one because it's the lightest. Well, obviously ether, or, meditating and reinitializing your fifth dimensional light body is like, the top. But I mean in a grounded third dimensional way of the elements. So sticking with, a very grounded, we're talking third dimensionally now. I'm not going to mention, ether and etc. Number one is obviously air. Now we've got Fukushima, we've got fallout, so if you live in America, this one definitely goes for you. I've seen Geiger counters of too much radiation in the air. That Dr. Kazar said that in California it was actually double than it was at Hawaii. It was 0.6 instead of 0.3 at Hawaii. So there is a notion of that in the world. I just want to make everyone aware of that, the air element and your health and radiation in the air. How do we stop that radiation in the air getting pulled into our thyroid? Well, we take iodine. I actually bought David Wolf's Nascent iodine to try the quote-unquote best, so that if I buy it locally after that, I've tried the so-called best and I can correlate and see, what's better, cross-reference. So yeah, I'm not just like a product fiend. So we use iodine. At the moment I'm using Nascent iodine, and I forgot to bring it in today for you. Sorry, Melissa, I was in a rush. It doesn't matter because I can explain it like this anyway. It'll leave a yellow patch, that's fine, but the actual liquid iodine will soak in to your wrist, and you put it on your wrist. It's a good place to put it. I put it on my forehead, I put it on my neck and everything, but you put it on your wrist. And because I notice it raising my vibration, so I put it in all these weird spots where my vibration's low. So that's how I actually move. So this Nascent iodine stops your thyroid pulling radioactive iodine, 133 I think it is, out of the air. So that is something to take note of, my friends. Okay? Next, the water element. Very, very important because it has been totally corrupted. We are drinking our own piss poo mixed with chemicals through a tap. Through a metallic tap. This is just utter shit. This is the pits. This is as bad as it gets today. This is it. It's not getting much worse than this. You're drinking your own piss and poo mixed with chemicals, for fuck's sake. So remember, we've already talked about...
Disgusting.
Yeah, we've talked about water being a fifth-dimensional correlate, and how when you spiral water, it reinitializes its unpolarized state. It cleans the slate of memory off water. So, when we are continually recycling the same water, and we're not doing it via the right dynamics, there's no centrifugal spin and, specifics of the energy changing of water, nowhere. They just put it in big vats and, they spin it around in that way, but it's just got the piss and the poo and the chemicals in it, so it can't reinitialize like that, just with the crap in it. That reinitialization of water, when it's clean, happens when it spirals. There's a website, I actually made a video on it. Anyway, so obviously the water element has been corrupted, and we need to really think about purifying it. So number one, the shape matters. Sorry, I'm trying to find the camera. You put it in a room-like shape, and it's how the earth holds water. Okay, the earth doesn't hold water in a plastic bottle that's square. It totally ruins water. I notice the difference. I notice the actual difference in energy of water that I drink. Every water I drink from any tap anywhere now. I'm well aware of what's going on. So firstly, I just want everyone to realize the shape matters. For instance, here I've got a nice little bottle. See this? Just because it's a better little bottle than like the normal shape. I thought, and when I tip it, the way it comes out, it's just that little bit better. So we're always trying to push higher and higher and better. So the shape matters, but what else matters with the water is the purification. So I was using there's the idea of distilled water being, 100% clean water. If you keep drinking distilled water, it will actually strip the minerals and vitamins from your body. So you're not meant to just drink distilled water all the time. You would do it now and then. You would do it for that exact reason, as an almost detox cleanse thing, and to purify you. But if you do that, sometimes you'll add Himalaya Soleil to the water because you're remineralizing it. You could add a bit of orange or lemon juice for some vitamins, you see, and you can build your water back up and make it actually fantastic, and eclectic. Now, when you do, let's get away from distillation. When you do filter it, I was using a $80 filter from Bunnings Warehouse in Australia, and it was a ceramic filter. I did not like how the top container was plastic. However, it did end up sitting in a ceramic reservoir So it ended up, kind of making it a bit better again. However, I still could taste the plastic, and I'm off it. I hate it. I don't like the plastic. Plastic acts as, but the biphenyl A in plastic acts as estrogen in the brain, and this is specifically not good for older people because you're already undergoing a process called aromatization, which is the over-estrogenization of your brain, things like testosterone turning to estrogen, other neuroendocrine hormonal secretions turning to estrogen, and it ages you. So that's actually called aromatization, and we can stop that with things like passion flower tea, and there's other ways to stop this. And obviously taking progesterone tablets and stuff. Now, 1 second. Oh yes, so that's why I like to avoid plastic, because the biphenyl A, and we've got an estrogenized world. There's estrogen floating about everywhere. Notice how much Tupperware people use, plastics everywhere. Then, not to mention that we eat in a Stockholm Syndrome psychopathic way, we eat with nickelware, trying to mimic our captors, the royals, and their silverware, which is water element. So let's talk about the earth element. Obviously the ether element, let's talk about the ether element, so I will bring it in, because I believe there are 5 elements and the ether element is there. What's the ether element? It's the notion of what, the Planck length, maybe? Max Planck found the Planck length? The Planck scale, maybe. Maybe that's a 5th dimensional correlate. Maybe that is the living light membrane layer, that's the length, that's just the scale, the Planck length. You can go online and look at the scale of the universe little tool, and it takes you through. It's a slider, and it takes you from the biggest things to the universe to the smallest, and it's got some stuff on there. That's a really cool thing to show your kids, actually, please. Scale of the universe tool 2. I want you to take your kids to that after, because it's very interesting, Melissa. And it's in a cartoony format. It's in a kid-friendly format and everything. So they've done a good job.
Okay.
And I can make that for anyone who wishes to summon my services in the future. I study IT, and I can make something like that out of Adobe Flash creation, just if anyone ever wants to know. Okay, yeah, so we're talking about the element of ether and meditation and mind being over matter and clearing out. So it's very important, because during the daytime we judge people with our eye, and you're not going to ever stop doing that. Even the Buddha is doing that because he has to be alive in the 3rd dimension. You have to use the eye. It correlates with the 6th dimension, all this stuff. Anyway, so you're going to be judging, because that's how we make our brain schemata, right? We judge things, and we make models, and we measure things, we make pattern matching, and etc. We make our brain schemata. Neuroscientists say use it or lose it. So when we're meditating, what I think is we're actually getting out of a neurotic state. What's neurosis? There's no definition out there that's good enough for me. My definition of neurosis is whatever definition is out there plus this. Neurosis is where you become, it's a 3rd dimensional notion. It's where you become the schemata, and your brain turns into basically a rock. Like Rudolf Steiner said, don't turn to stone. If you read his books, he said something about turning to stone. 2 people have mentioned it to me, David Wolfe and my friend Anna Key from Conscioususine. And I think this is in one way how he meant it, because boy is that guy hard to understand, that Rudolf Steiner. So neurosis is where we're becoming these loops, and if you don't meditate right and enough, not just lotus, not just alpha in lotus position with some mudras, not just that. We're talking all these techniques I've taught you on the meditation page in Consciousazine, the Kundalini, and the Chi and the Prana and whatever else. What we want to do is move the recalibration, the unpolarization through here. And when we're meditating, and that's that 5th dimensional correlate I just mentioned, but when we're meditating, you've just got to remember you're becoming more brain plastic.
So in other words, you are using it more, and as neuroscientists say, use it or lose it. So what happens during the day in repetitive tasks in this solar system where we are acting as robot people, because when the robots come in about 10 years from now, they're going to take most of the jobs. And people are going to do what? They're going to turn to dreaming and meditating, and the world will self-heal. Alright. Okay, good morning everyone. I think today, Melissa, I'm going to go through one of the pages. So this is, I'm just showing everyone the screenshot. My screen's being recorded as we talk. I think they'll only be able to hear me because my headphones are plugged in, and this computer doesn't have a, it only has one audio jack, and you can only plug in the one, what is it? Not the microphone part, but the other wire.
It's okay if we can only hear you.
Sorry, I'm a bit tired.
Oh no, that's okay. But that's okay.
I'm not sure if they can hear you, that's all.
Okay.
Because you're like just in my head, Melissa.
That's all good. That's a good place to be.
You're a voice in my head, no. Okay, well, I thought we'd start this by mentioning something that's apt to the golden crystal age. As everyone knows, we're going into the golden crystal age. A lot of people just call it the golden age and all this stuff. I don't know if, but it could have correlation with 1,000 years of peace on earth that the Bible said, and then after that 1,000 years something will happen again. I can't remember, like hell will return or something, something bad. And I was thinking that maybe that could be when the pole flip finally finishes, when we have pole shift, because apparently the pole is moving like 40 kilometers a year or something right now. So anyway, I was thinking that's when we could have the next ice age in 1,000 years from now, at the end of the golden age, when we figure out gold and we go to space and stuff finally in this next 1,000 years. And so anyway, I call it the golden crystal age. And there's all these correlations, like DMT, the world's most powerful hallucinogen, is a crystal, and it makes you more clear and it'll get you deeper into the regions of your soul. So DMT will increase clarity, because it's crystal too. And salt, we're finding out, there's a book out there about how you can change, if you want to do something for your diet, a good thing to do is, there's a book about how just water and just salt, regulating those two will do wonders for your diet if you do nothing else. And David Wolf goes on about that too. So maybe he's read that book, I don't know, but he's mentioned that in a couple of his talks on stage there at the LA Hilton too, on the Longevity Warehouse YouTube playlist. And he's saying, it's salt's kind of just as in, like right after water in importance. We're basically an upright walking column of salt water, run by adrenaline, pushing us upright. And we get calcites, these little parasites in us, which are like becoming arthritis and stuff. And so we're basically an upright walking column of salt water. And so salt and water is, the base of your intake. And I've noticed this too. I started experimenting with it, and then I started having more Himalaya Sole. I just started experimenting with all the salts I had around me. And I definitely noticed a toxic effect from sodium, just table salt, sodium chloride, I think it is. I can't remember the second part of the molecule. But normal table salt, I think it's sodium chloride. It definitely feels like a toxin or a poison, and it makes me like sort of cringe and really like tighten up, get that tight sort of feeling, and it's not good. And during the last 6 months working at Caldera Environmental as a researcher there, I was researching glyphosate. And this is just for work for the dole in Australia. You don't actually get paid for this, but I just thought, oh, that's a good organisation that lines up with what I do. And I was researching glyphosate just because I started working on a farm here and there, and I do food plant teaching and stuff. And the thing is, glyphosate's LD50 is 5,000 and table salt's 3,000. So I just want everyone to realise that it is pretty toxic. You know, that's not bad. Like psychedelics have LD50s of like 125 milligrams per kilogram instead of 5,000. Oh, sorry, did I say glyphosate had 5,000? Sorry, table salt had 5,000, and glyphosate I think is 3,000 milligrams per kilogram LD50. Sorry, the other way around. So obviously, the more, say it's 10,000 milligram per kilogram, that's less dangerous and less toxic. It's a better LD50 to have. So, you know, the psychedelics have lower LD50s and thus can be considered more toxic, but we're doing that for divination, and there's a reason and meaning behind it. That's why we don't just get on these things and, you know, have a wild party or something. That's not just what it's about. Sometimes we have a bit of a party with them to let loose and stuff. Yeah, I understand, but you know, and I am young, but you know, there's reason, much more deeper reason and meaning that we take those things. Anyway, moving on. What I was getting at was how it's the golden crystal age, and I'm just mentioning some crystals like salt and DMT I mentioned. Now, what I did want to really mention was apparently there's these crystals that soak up your body odor. So if anyone wants to buy me those, go ahead, make my day. But apparently they're body odor absorbing crystals, and they soak up your BO, and I definitely need them because I don't use much soaps and stuff. I use natural soaps now and then, but mainly coconut oil. Anyway, sorry, what was that, Melissa?
Yeah, I have a deodorant called Body Crystal. I should go get it and see what's in it.
Body crystal, and it's a deodorant.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's the one. I think they're actual like crystals, but I haven't researched it, so it might be, but I don't think so. I don't think it's a deodorant. I think they're like actual like little crystals.
crystals. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah. So that's just a quick introduction. For everyone who doesn't know who's talking, this is Benjamin Kaunberg, the site creator of this website here, Consciousazine.com. Let's take you to, see, last time we explored Natural Remedies Guru page on another health talk I did. That's a 5-hour talk. Near the end of it, in the second half of the talk, approaching health multidimensionally, and you can find that in the playlist, the Consciousazine playlist here on YouTube. In that talk, I took you over the Natural Remedies Guru page, but in today's talk, I want to go right to one of the end pages, Amalgaman Maximum Novelty Health. It's just one of the new health pages that I've got in here. Oh, let's read this part, because it is written by Riser from Goldring Game of Enlightenment and Abundance, and from the video 2012 Light of the Fifth Sun 2, Weishou's Neuroscience Goldring, and he's from Goldring Game of Enlightenment and Abundance, and Riser 5 is his like YouTube nickname. I forgot his actual name. I've got him on LinkedIn, but I forgot his name. So anyway, the initiation of mass consciousness into oneness of shared intention is the fundamental agreement of those who have come forth as way-showers in the work of re-establishing unity and oneness. This is accomplished without judgment. Judgment brings fear, separation, and simulates mental centers of the parietal lobes, the amygdala, hippocampus, and reticular formation dream state response through the pons and brainstem survival reactions. The effect of fear causes static throughout the limbic system, making it impossible for emotion to integrate with the higher centers of the brain. And now we're not talking, erroneous emotions, but you're in a emotionality, in the fourth dimensionality, where your where energy becomes tangential. So your emotional tangentiality. Fear turns off the reception of higher light by creating a fog of discordant vibrations. This is a parietal dissonance, and which impedes the ability of the brain to receive higher frequency light, which is refracted and enhanced by the pineal, pituitary, through the lens of the septum pellucidum membrane and into the quantum mind field. So that was a little excerpt out of that video. There's a cool picture for people to view on the video. It just reads, "Is it natural?" And a lady's face going, "Yes." And then a kid, this little kid, that little baby who's become famous on the internet for pumping his fist. And it says, "Prob's good." And then it says, "Natural and illegal?" "Yes." "Prob's very good." And then it says, "Natural, illegal, and banned by the FDA." And the lady's saying, "Yes." And the baby's going, "Probs cures death." Yeah, what have we come to, anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the UNC method, I call it, Orgasm Method for Rejuvenation, Longevity and Health Plus Plus, that I've written out. It's on orgasming and rejuvenation through the Sushumna tract. And just let me talk, Melissa, because I'm hearing you in my ear and it's putting me off while I'm trying to just talk for everyone. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I just hear you in my ear while I'm talking. I'm trying to listen inside. No, I'm just saying, just try to hold it back a little bit, please. Because I'm going to lose where I'm up to. I have to stay concentrated for this. Anyway, yeah, this is a orgasm rejuvenation post, so there's just, it's building. And, you know, I guess we should take a minute to talk about this, because we've just come out of history where they burnt books and they put burqas on women. You know what I'm saying? Well, what I'm saying is, you know, they've covered the women, they've covered the light in any way they can. They've covered the light by burning books. They've covered the light by, you know, the misuse of the information, and they've covered the light by covering the light, by putting clothes on us and everything. You know, the brutal naked light of the truth is something. And so if we don't have that, we have something else other than that, other than the best day ever. So here's a picture of two people having sex and all the effects. Now we can't read it. I'm not sure where this is from. I can't even read where this picture's from. And oh well, there's plenty out there on the internet. This is just one I put there to make everyone realise there's a lot of positive effects. And you can see her pineal sort of shining there in the picture from the Sushumna tract there. And you know, obviously there's going to be all these effects that it's saying there. Oh, here we go. Here's a few. This is from another website. Now, these are just little things like it relieves headaches and all this. Apparently, make love slowly, smoothly, and in a relaxed way reduces the chances of suffering dermatitis, skin rashes, and acne, even. So, I mean, there's some divine remedy here for depression. It relieves, you know, by sending out endorphins and so on. So, you know, I think in the first video, Melissa asked me about, you know, what do you think about the positive thinking and, you know, positive affirmations and all that. Of course, it's good, and it's good for our biology. The only thing I mentioned was don't let it make you too airhead, and that was the only, like, negative thing I wanted to mention, so that people didn't get negative on me. I'll steer away from any more negative things. Anyway, here's a little, like, daily routine. People have asked me for, like, little routines and stuff, and here's just one I wrote out off the top of my head. Firstly, never own a disease, so when you wake up, it's a new day. Upon waking, you eat light and meditate and or Kui Chi yogatate. Then you drink water, or you could drink the water during and before, with apple cider vinegar or alkaline, just some sort of alkaline water or tea. If you're really waking up too alkaline, you're one of those metabolism people, well then have a coffee. Then but you know, I still wouldn't recommend it. Then you proceed with medicine to eat something antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, such as thyme. You go frolic in the garden and you ground out. So you've just, that's a really good morning washout, just very simple and just doing it quickly on your way out. Then you take supplementation, tinctures, tonics and elixirs and ferments. Then you do Magnus Opus with a smile on your face until 1 p.m. It must be your Magnus Opus, no work for another, this is your life. And I did have an angel say to me, inflammation goes in so far as you get inflamed the second you walk off your path. So anyway, to addend the aforementioned, it is so that your left brain is not overloaded, as the right brain does not require barely any sleep. So if you're doing your Magnus Opus, you'll notice you can stay awake even longer as well. Then you eat your lunch. By night you would psychedeliate in darkness by yourself to seek some real depths. So I've put meditating into the clearing basket at the start here, and I've put psychedeliating and heavy dreaming at the end of the basket, and it does fit in to me in the natural cycle of the day. So there's just a little sort of routine and how I might think about that routine. Now, is there anything you want to ask before we go on, Melissa?
No, I'm just enjoying everything you're saying.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about you anyway. If you've got nothing to ask me, I'll still directing it towards you.
Okay, that's good. I'll let you direct.
Oh yeah, you said your son was eating 6 packets of seaweed chips, and yesterday, synchronistically enough, I got my first packet of seaweed chips just randomly walking into the Lennox Head health food store, and I've never been to the Lennox Head health food store, so I didn't know what was in for me, and so I stumble in there and I see the seaweed chips and went, oh, how come I haven't seen these ones anywhere else? And yeah, they turned out to be really thin and a little bit crunchy, so I was happy they weren't chewy and crap, so they're actually pretty good. And they leave your mouth like salty, so it's kind of as mimicking, you know, normal potato chips. Now, what's wrong with eating normal potato chips is they sometimes heat them, I think, over 250 degrees or something. And if it's heated over 250 or 350, I think it is, then it creates this thing that's cancerous in chips. Something like aceldite or something like that it's called. It's on the Natural Remedies Guru page anyway. So yeah, we definitely want to move to alternative eating known as health food eating. I think, yeah, so I got my first packet of seaweed chips yesterday. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So he was eating 6 of them. Jeez. Because you know what, I also bought some sour super kraut, it's called. And, oh no, this was the other day actually, but I did buy more yesterday. But the day before, or a few days before, I bought this super kraut, it's called in Australia, made from Tasmanian. It's got Tasmanian seaweed in it as well. And I went, oh, nice, because I've been looking for wakame everywhere, because it contains fucose, which is like neurotransmitting or helping in your brain somehow. It's a brain sugar. I've forgotten. I think it helps with, you know, brain transmission because it's a sugar. So there's 8 essential sugars. I didn't used to know that. We all know there's like 18 amino acids, essential fatty acids and all this stuff, but there's actually also 8 essential sugars. And I was like, ooh, okay, makes sense. So you can see David Wolf's talk on that actually. I forget what it's called. It might be the talk on polysaccharides, because polysaccharides are long-chain sugars. Anyway, turning almost into fats or something. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I went into the shop the other day and bought the super kraut, and I noticed it had ormus in it. So I go to the counter and I said to the lady, how good are the health products getting these days, eh? Everything's got ormus in it. Yeah, I just thought, this is amazing, you know, we're really making progress. And I thought then, how much is that going to affect that little dude, you know, your son? How much is that going to affect these people in the future, you know, this change of eating from basically, eating death to eating life. And, well, they're going to pump out life instead of pumping out death, right?
That's right.
It's going to change the whole of society. Now, don't confuse biorevolution with ascension. Okay, full stop. We've talked about brushing teeth in the 5-hour health video, Approaching Health Multidimensionally with Justine, so I'm not going to go into that. We could talk about aura and stuff. What do you know about aura, Melissa?
I'm still studying it myself. I know that to be truly healthy, you cannot have cracks in your aura. You need to heal the cracks in your aura, and you can do that, through so many modalities. But you could go to a healer to do it, spiritual healer, like myself, or you could ask your higher, ascended masters and whatnot. It depends what gels with you.
No, yeah, I agree, and it's funny you just mentioned what's on the screen, Melissa. You should guess what's on the screen. It's called The Human Auric Layers,
Wow.
Mohsen Paul Zervasi, PhD, and it's about, guess what, auric energy cracks.
Oh
And
my
you've just
God.
mentioned that to me while I'm looking at this on the screen. No one else can hear that because you're in my microphone, but that's what just happened.
It's beautiful.
Another synchronicity between us.
Oh,
I'll take
nice.
it as a little sign anyway. So
That's it. So that's the key is healing the cracks, and really every day you don't, if you have cracks in your aura, you're leaking out good stuff, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep it into your own.
Melissa was just saying you can heal your aura in many ways, and that's true, because to me an aura is a makeup of every interaction you've ever had, every sex you've had, every conversation you've had. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Totally
I'm serious. Your aura is like a makeup of your whole path here. And, NASA has these gas discharge cameras. There's also the GDV camera by Korotov in Russia. Apparently they can see your aura and then tell mineral deficiencies and everything from it. So an aura is like this make-up thing, and of every conversation, interaction you've had. And this book here looks interesting, and I have read some of it. It says a detailed discussion of the auric geometry and mechanics has been presented, and indeed it's very detailed, this book. Fundamentals of the mechanics and mathematical modeling even regarding the process of energetic leakage as a result of microfracture of auric skin due to differential pressure across the auric boundary layer has been deliberated. A comprehensive account of the theory of elasticity pertaining to the subject matter based upon tensorial formulation has been presented. It is explained that microcracks occur in the auric skin due to excessive tensile strain or stretch as a result of disproportionate differential pressure within and without the auric field. The pertinence of microcrack nucleation, opening in cleavage, and propagation due to compressive as opposed to tensile type stimulus such as pressurizing has been clarified to be due to a phenomenon in mechanics of continuum known as the Poisson effect. It is concluded that auric energetic leakage or bleeding occurs when excessive stretch occurs in the auric skin that is given by and there's a little equation, where another equation, Poisson ratio, Young modulus, constitute the material properties of the auric skin. Something denotates the extent of differential pressure existing within and without an auric layer, and another little symbol depicts the critical value of stretch in the auric skin, causing microfracture. And indeed, when the pressure inside and outside an auric layer is the same, The distributed pressurizing forces resulting at the auric skin cancel one another out, and consequently the little equation and thus tensile stretching of the auric skin does not occur. So there you go. That's a very detailed, right?
That's wonderful.
Now, let's see my comments. I'm stretching the red part of my aura via my heart palpitations. I've said here, this is me. I'm headed towards stroke and attack and shit, eh? I said, if I keep walking that, I can feel it. So, where have I got this from? The red part of my aura. Why am I saying that in this comment? I'm stretching the red part of my aura. Well, because I learnt that from Taoism, that the emotions are not just in the brains. From Western science, I've learnt the emotions are little chemicals in my brains. Yeah, it's a very soulless view. Anyway, the more I reach out of scientific reductionism, the more I find spirited words. Now, the red is taken from how the Taoists think that our emotions are stored in our organs, and they're not just things created neurochemically in the brain. Of course, the neurochemical associations will be there, but they're associations of fourth-dimensional tangential energy waves. And this is where science is not reaching into, obviously, because this is incorporeality, and, well, the fourth dimension is still very corporeal. It's not incorporeal yet. To me, across the great gate of heaven, the sixth dimension, geometrical dimension, which is the gateway, across the gateway, into the seventh dimension is the higher light. Anyway, so the red would be to do with the heart. I think 3 other organs are red coloured. Then there's like the kidneys are blue, the liver's green, I think. So there's these different colours associated with organs as well. So I could see how the red part of my aura was stretching and straining, and I was making, sometimes during my day I'll strain my heart a bit too much and I'll make auric crack that way, and I'll have to go ground out and go to the beach and stuff. So anyway, just wanted to quickly put that in. So here's more information. We may as well talk about it, eh? Although we are born with a total of 7 auric layers already intact, we are conditioned to primarily utilize the first 2 auric layers. This is all from this guy's book, with the greatest majority of emphasis on the physical body. The other ethereal bodies progressively get activated later in time, particularly the causal and spiritual bodies indigenous to the higher portions of the fourth. And all this occurs during dream states and during night when we are asleep. When we depart our physical bodies and begin surfacing higher dimensions of consciousness, with visiting the fourth dimension becoming the usual stopover as the state of mind is achieved easier. In contrast, reaching the causal and spiritual states are accomplished less easily, as this requires switching to the theta state, which is a requisite to enter the crystalline dimensions of higher consciousness, 5th dimension and above. When one operates within the alpha state of mind higher than the beta state, indigenous to 3D, one begins to expand one's auric layer to that representing the etheric body. To be able to envision different bodies through definition of multi-layered auric field. I'll start that again. To be able to envision different bodies through definition of a multi-layered auric field, one needs to discern the existence of a boundary layer through which energies are transferred to and fro by a membrane-like medium in an electrical manner through a planar or laminar circulatory mechanism. And then I've got a little link explaining planar and laminar, so you can all look into that. So yeah, there's a boundary layer where energies are transferred via planar or laminar circulatory mechanism. A finite element analysis of laminar flows through planar and axis-symmetric abrupt expansions. Laminar flow of Newtonian fluid in planar and axis-symmetric abrupt expansions is studied by Solving the Navier-Stokes equation using the finite element method, the results consolidate information provided in the literature and provide a broader picture of how the expansion ratio and Reynolds number influence the reattachment length, downstream location of the eddy, and the relative eddy intensity in both coordinate systems. So I'll skip that. The fourth dimension is a transitional realm that is, in essence, an extension of our third 3D physicality that is stealth, yet totally interrelated. We better be recording. Thank God, I thought we weren't recording, sorry.
Oh, always seems to happen with us.
Oh.
Sound.
In contrast, the fifth dimension is totally distinct from the realm of 3D physicality and dimensional consciousness. Yeah, basically, yeah. Because the fifth dimension is like a broader dimension. Remember, I've correlated the fifth dimension to unpolarized state? I call it fifth dimensional perspect. Eckhart Tolle calls it clearing your mind or whatever. He's going around the world basically talking about fifth dimensional perspect. Eckhart Tolle is. And like they're saying here, the fifth dimension is totally distinct from the 3D physicality and dimensional consciousness. Fifth dimension is holding telepathic alignment, so it's not a dimensional particularity or fractionality. It's the entire deal. The fifth dimension contains the entire idea, and the fifth dimension contains all knowledge of the whole of creation. The fifth dimension is the now middle point. The fifth dimension is, yes, a more crystalline light, and it is a crystalline light, much more so. You could think of that as a quark gluon plasma, maybe, but it's more deeper than that. It's the loop and warp of web, wherein string theory is rearing its head and talking about. Do you see what I'm saying? That's fifth dimensionality. And this is in a 12th dimensional model of physical creation, and it's down dimensional creation. And these dimensions work via ascending harmonics and descending tones, and they embed themselves, and there seems to also be this thing where each second dimension is a vibratory sort of adding dimension, and each first dimension seems to be an organizational dimension. For instance, the sixth dimension being geometry, right? And the seventh dimensional being like tunnel harmonics and the mathematics of the tunnel harmonics and the length of the particle perhaps or something. The code is coordinated by the eighth dimension for that what color is to be chosen, what seventh dimensional higher color light is to be chosen. I think of it as a higher mood of the universe. There is no separation, no fear for survivalism, no competition, anger, greed, etc. in fifth dimensional consciousness. So that's what I'm saying, all those anger, greed, survivalism, all it comes from third dimensionalities or zonal realities. There's a cut-off sense or an eddy sense in third dimensionality. It's like an eddy. The fifth dimension is like the river flow or the ocean. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Now the third dimension is reverberated fractally. In explanation, at least, for me to tell you, you're a larger cell of humanity, and your body also has cells which make up your larger body. And that's that fractal idea of that third dimensionality. And you're your own zonal reality. You have your magnus opus pool to pick from and to bring your great work in from. And everyone else has their soul pools and so on, So that's third dimensionality. You're your own reality. It's not just a cross-section. People have given me that explanation. If I'm to go around the world telling people, yeah, the third dimension is a cross-section, then what? And then people look at me and go, okay, can't use that. Well, how am I going to use that? What I'm giving you is stuff that you can use, if you've noticed. This is stuff that you can take across fields, domains of study and everything. So I just hope everyone realises what's being said sometimes. People don't listen. It's not that they don't listen to me, they can't hear me. There's sayings like, the student can only reach you where they're up to. They can only attend you and listen to you where they're up to. And that's fine, and I understand completely. I'm just saying to you that often it's the cognitive dissonance from your societal brainwash that gets in the way of you hearing me, especially when I'm visual. If you're looking at me, you'll get caught up on, oh, he looks like this, he looks like that, all that sort of thing. Anyway, there's also much deeper doublethink going on than what I've said about appearance, but we're not going to go into it. Anyway, just try to hear people. That's fifth dimensional perspex, not judging them before you're listening to a word they're saying. Do you see what I mean? People do that all the time. There's a state of humility you've got to be in to listen to someone and really take it in. For intelligence to evolve, there has to be humility. I'm telling you, and pride is a sin. Therefore, the fifth dimension necessitates a distinct body format than that of the 3D, which is a chaotic and amorphous, lacking definite form, having no specific shape, formless. The amorphous clouds, that's the definition of amorphous that I put there for everyone. So the idea is, again, I said it before, unpolarization. They're talking about the fifth dimension there. Anyway, let's keep going. So there you go, you can see some more writing. We're not going to read that. We're not going to read that. It's talking about the poisons effect, or piosins, however you say it. Symmetry through homogeneity and isotropy. As you can see, it gets right into it, suffice to say. So now I'm going to go to another post. Awareness of consumption isn't just what you eat, it's the thoughts you eat too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge, yeah. Massive. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is thoughts. Yeah, thoughts are key.
Oh, here we are. This one I like. Oh yeah, here we go.
Mm.
According to a recent study of over 100,000 participants, IQ is actually made up of 3 components. Hampshire et al. Et al. Just means like more than one author, and a lot of authors. Analysing the results, they found that IQ split up into short-term memory, reasoning, and verbal component. In other words, some people could have strong short-term memories, but be poor reasoners, or some people could be good with language, but have poor short-term memory. Your overall intelligence is a result of how these 3 subsystems work, and they might not all be at the same level.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you do a video on, because I'm just trying to find time to watch things, but did you do a video on Kundalini?
I did a video on the microcosmic orbit, but I haven't done any Kundalini
Okay.
one. Well, I've showed you guys the technique in the $30 Bandit food plant teaching video, antioxidation video. So if you go to the food plant $30 Bandit food plant teaching playlist on YouTube, there's a video on antioxidants and antioxidation where I'm talking about berries, antioxidants, and then antioxidation in general. And when I get to that bit, the generalization bit, I'm talking about Q10 and stuff, that thing for your heart. But I'm talking about the technique that I think it's Saharasa's technique, this Australian Indian lady, that Dr. Billy Doctor took into the Google Tech Talks. Either way, it's that Google Tech Talk meditation that's on the meditation page anyway. So yeah, you can reach it several ways. But yeah, that's the only Kundalini meditation instruction I've done so far. I just sort of copied that and put the basics on one of my videos so people could understand it or see it being done. Now that I'm reading this thing about, IQ, there was this article that I found, and I thought it was this one, that's why I got so excited. There was an article I found on IQ that actually said it was in favour of, what do we call us? The mischievers of society. It was saying stuff like they'll stay up late and all this stuff, and it was just like an unconformed view, adding to intelligence. I went, finally, and whatever it said in that article was really good. I wish I could find it. I've just got to think what page it might be on. Where would I put that one on?
It'll come to you when it's meant to.
Maybe the science page. Anyway, we can go back to that one. I'd like to. Anyway, here's actually a mushroom blend from Longevity Warehouse, David Wolf Foods. People don't know David Wolf, and why would I want to tell you about someone else when I'm on my own video here? Well, because he's charging. He's doing really well, and he's lived it. He's not just a doctor who's reading out of books, so to speak. He's lived it. Anyway, I can't get this 24 mushroom blend. See if you can, Melissa, maybe, if you go onto the Amalgamam Maximum Novelty Health page, the mushroom post, and it's got a picture of Gonoderma lucidium or reishi mushroom. And so this 24 mushroom blend here, I can't get it. I can't order it through Australia, so you might not be able to in New Zealand either. Probably because a few of these mushrooms are banned. They'll be banned.
I need to stop doing that. They need to stop banning things that are good for us, yeah?
Pardon?
They need to stop banning things that are good for us.
Oh yeah, they need to stop banning things that are good for us, for sure.
It's ridiculous. It's just a joke. It's
so this one has got in it Bazillion blazei, Agaricus blazei. I'm going to mispronounce all of these. Wood ear, Auricularia auricula, caterpillar mushroom. Actually, I'm not going to sound off the scientific names. Turkey tail. Could you please just let me speak, Melissa? Wood ear, caterpillar mushroom, turkey tail, enoki, Iceman fungus, Fomus fomentarius, that one. Agarican or quinine conch, reishi, Gonoderma lucidium, or lucidum. Oregon polypore, Gonoderma organonense, artist conch, mataki, lion's mane, bunashameji, chaga, enotus obliquus, shiitake, willow bracket, mesimakobu, nameko, birch polypore, oyster mushroom, zuling, fuling, split gill, and suhirotaki. That one's called schizophyllum commune. White wood ear is the last one. So those 24 mushrooms, holy, that's going to really be health there. So what do mushrooms do? Yeah, mushrooms are interesting. Well, let's have a look what he's got on his link firstly, before I talk. Oh, what? Link not found. Right, I'll have to quickly search that one, because I do want to have a look. Come on, yes, here it is. Okay, so it's like $89 or something. But this is the best. Now, why buy the best? And like, I do think this Longevity Warehouse is some of the best products in the world. Why buy the best is because I have, in the last year, done so. A few products, I bought the best. It was very expensive, and it put me in the end of my fortnight. Like, I had to fast for 3 days, you know what I'm saying? I'm barely eating anything at the end of the fortnight. Because, and this is for my path, this is not erroneous, I'm not doing myself ill or anything. This is for my path, and this is how it works. This is how novelty happens. Coming to consciousness is painful, and your path is not, if you look every which way and you want everything, your path is going to be painful. But anyway, so when I do this, I'm trying the best, and then I'll notice I'll go back to the rest. And I've been doing that. Like last week, I ate pizza to like twice or something, and at my friend's house, he had some pizza, and you know, I don't. Some people are going, "Geez, Ben, you sound pedantic," but no, I really feel the difference. So I'm coming off this pizza feeling inflamed, and I've got a post on All Around Health page that has a no smoking sign, but wheat in it. It's got a bit of bread, no eating bread sign, and it's got like this article saying 50 effects associated with wheat. So there's like 50 negative effects so far associated with it, and that's quite a lot already. And now I feel this inflammation, and inflammation is said to be at the root of all this disease. All the diseases that we have, inflammation is playing its role in it. It's part of it, every disease. Now, don't forget that all pain is positive charge as well in this body. So those things connect. Anyway, so firstly, mushrooms have a redox reduction potential, wherein they help free radicals. So it will actually help with your reanionization and getting the cat ions off you and positive charge, because remember, we're rusting through the oxidization theory of aging, the atmosphere, walking around rusting. So mushrooms, geez, there's something about mushrooms. Let's call this segment, because honestly, a lot of info keeps coming to me about them. We have Paul Stamats showing us we can build with mushrooms. We can build like you can with hempcrete. You can make houses out of hempcrete from hemp. It sets harder and harder. Similarly, we can make stuff out of mushrooms, believe it or not. Have a look at Paul Stamats. He's got a lot of work he's doing in depth with mushroom cultures and stuff. And then we have Terence McKenna, the famous psychedelian, talking about all the psychedelic mushrooms, and mainly psilocybe cubensis or psilocybe strophoria. And he has a video called "What's So Great About the Mushroom," and it's a 5-minute video where he sort of takes you on a cosmic thinking voyage. And there's a scene, or there's part of his conversing and dialogue where Terence says, and he's talking for the mushroom, he's talking as the mushroom in this video, he's a genius, and it says, this is the mushroom talking through McKenna, "I will trade you the secrets of hyperlight drives for a place around a less forsaken sun." So these things, in other words, he's trying to get the idea across to you, or the mushroom was coming through him, getting the idea across to you that they're these big things. They seem to look larger, right? If they're thinking about when the sun's going to die, for Christ's sake, that's in like 8 billion years. So these mushrooms are somehow thinking in a larger way than we are. And it makes sense. Why? How? Ben, you're crazy. No, it makes sense because we're all just part of Earth, and the Earth, I have a video called Singularis, Genesis Singularis, where I said it's not you awakening, it's the Earth awakening. And me, I'm a way sheller of the golden light. I would be a crown chakra expression of Earth. The gold ring, that's why I have a saying, hear the rhythms of the time waves, feel the tone of the gold ring. Anyway, the mushrooms are part of Earth too. And so when you look at Earth as Earth and not your ego, and that you're like the conqueror of Earth or something, and disconnected from Earth and all this, when you don't look through that third dimensional egoic sort of view, and you look just in a larger perspective, in a fifth dimensional perspective, what the planet is, it's a being. And that's a fifth dimensional perspective. That's the idea. It's its own being, right? So the mushrooms seem to me to just be part of that being, and so that's why it makes sense for me to say, you know, they're just thinking larger than us. Because remember, the thoughts you have every day are not your thoughts; they're the thoughts, and I beg to differ that you're on a planet and it's coming electrically from that. And somehow the planet passes and recodes and fragments for use and definition and heightened definition the star's rays into our languages, right? So what we have here is a sort of culminatory thing. We know that the mushrooms, I mean, because we know that the plants, you know, like the movie Avatar has this in it. There's that scene where the scientist lady has to tell the guy who's wrecking the forest, each tree has 10 to the 40 connections, 10 to the power of 40, and each tree is connected to another 10 to the 40 trees or whatever. And she was trying to get the idea across that the whole Avatar planet, you know, the Avatar movie, that whole planet Pandora was, you know, a giant being, like Earth, basically. Yeah, right? That was the whole idea of it, anyway. And they had Iwa, you know, like the sort of minded entity or logic mind of Earth, or of Pandora, sorry, in the movie. But same deal, is what I'm saying. So these mushrooms seem to me to be even a larger thing than the tree connections, because remember, they're helping the trees with their organisation of nutrients and stuff. What did I just say? Organisation. So they're organising. It makes sense, hence, that they're such good immune system support. Do you see? They're supporting the trees. Of course they're going to be supporting our bodies too, and we've found that now, and you know, that's why it's a point here on this website, on David Wolf's website, immune system support. And so I just took you through like a way that maybe the Earth has thought of it more, or a higher way to look at it at least. That's why. That's what's so great about the mushrooms, in my opinion. They're not just little dense electron valence shelled things that we can make second dimensional objects out of, like Paul Stamets and stuff is doing. All these people are showing how we can make stuff, like you can make a little house or something out of it. You can make a lot of stuff out of mushrooms. Anyway, you can sculpt them and everything. Anyway, so another thing I like about this is it's got sugars. The properties of these essential sugars are also included in the 24 mushroom blend, and guess what it's got? Fucose, which I mentioned earlier from wakame seaweed. And it's got mannose too, and N-acylglucosamine, N-acylneurominic acid. Anyway, there's a few compounds that I've not heard of before those two. I think I've heard of that one, the glucosamine. Well, it's acid glucosamine. So the point is that in your normal standard American diet, we always refer back to. We're just trying to refer back like health people do. We're just trying to refer back to like the very basic diet we have around today, of the nuts, the roots, well, basically of the roots and the meat meals, with a little side of salad. And I mean, it's not healthy. Well, you people are kidding yourself. Everyone seems to think they need nothing but protein intake and carbs. But, you know, you're kidding yourself if you think that a sprig of parsley on top of a huge steak is a healthy way to eat. It should be the exact opposite way around. We're doing everything exactly backwards in our sick societies here at the end of the apocalypse, or at the start of the apocalypse, the end of history. We're doing everything backwards. I posted on this the other day. We brush our teeth with antibiotic toothpaste before we use essential oils or anything else before it. Or, you know, like Gonoderma Mangandungi Ganosi toothpaste that I use. We do everything the wrong, like, backward way, I've noticed. We go to work to feed ourselves and buy fruits and veg from the market, when we can sit at home, grow our fruit and veg, and not have to work as much. I mean, this list just goes on. This doing things backward thing. Now, I've said that 2012 is like that. It's a turning point, and people go, "Oh, turning what?" Well, it's like you're turning around a corner, yeah, and we're not going to talk about that, or looking over the naked singularity, which was like crossing a naked singularity 2012. We're not talking about either of those, looking around the corner of the future or anything. The bend in the space-time or whatever's going on. We're not talking about that right now. But, sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. Because I started getting into the bend of space-time in my eye. Yeah, so I've got to concentrate. I don't know, what was I saying again?
Yeah, so you were talking about, it was really good too, sorry. Just distracted by my cat.
Let's hope you were listening.
I'll just put Simba away. There you go. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, yeah, it was really good too. Just let me go back to that. In my mind,
I forgot what I was saying anyway.
oh, go on, sorry.
Okay, let's continue, because people are listening.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking about seeing around the corner of the future, but that's not what I wanted to mention. Anyway, let's just have a look at this stuff. So, you know, why is it important to have all these? Because we don't have these all the time. Oh, that's right, yeah, it's like a turning point. 2012 is like a turning point. That's where I was up to. In which way? Well, not as I was mentioning and got lost on, but in the way of negative to positive as well. But in the way of looking in your rear view mirror, it's like we're all, remember how I was just talking about doing things backward? How in society we're doing so much things just backward? Like, do you go to the doctor every day to get an antibiotic shot? No, it's the last resort, isn't it? Yes. Well then why are you brushing your teeth with antibiotics as the last resort first? You see what I'm saying? Okay. So 2012 is a point where we're looking from in the rearview mirror, and it's like we're being turned forward. So that's just what I was trying to say before. Anyway, let's get off the longevity warehouse in case they sue me. I'm just showing you good product, guys. Jeez. Yeah, so there is this thing about, I forgot the exact name of, let me go have a look at it. We're going to find this picture. There it is. Mind in action. Researchers have shown that hurt feelings from words can affect, I'll put the can in there because it just says words affect, but I'm going to say words can affect, because there's a saying, no man may come through me but through me, out there, which I like to remember. So let me read it again. Researchers have shown that hurt feelings from words can affect the same area in the brain, the cingulate gyrus, as a broken bone or physical injury. So, yeah, once again, keep in mind that no man may come through you, bar through you, and that's why there's that schoolyard chime, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Remember that one?
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you need to take this into account, if you don't already, Melissa, because I do. I live my life like that way. I try not to get, you know, if someone's swearing at me and stuff, I can look straight past it. Why can't some people? Now, I actually lay traps. I sometimes just swear and go, not when I'm going crazy at people for subconsciously doing something towards me or something, but sometimes I'm just swearing in a way to annoy and make sure I catch the people that aren't worth my time being around me. I've done it a lot on Facebook, more than I do like out of Facebook, because on there it's just, you know, you've got hundreds of friends, so I have to be a bit more thorough about it. But yeah, so I call this setting an animal trap. Like here it says, haha, fucking brainwashed twits. Now some people will stop reading the rest of that post. I've just trapped you. I've trapped you in a third dimensionality, and you've shown me that you're a waste of my time because you're not going to hear half of what I can say. And that's the whole point. I don't want to get caught up in eddies of helping people who can't hear half of what I say, and they're really just stealing your energy and stealing your focus and so on. They get you off your path. It's a trick of the dark, trust me. It's out there. If you don't see it, I see it. So sometimes I lay these animal traps for that reason. Shows me people who aren't even worth my time, because I can look straight past it. Now, someone might still be sitting there a bit bamboozled. What's the point of it, Ben? You're just not making friends instead of where you could be making friends. Well, that's a possibility too, and that's an idea, but there's time management at the center of this. And so if you're still sitting there a bit and thinking about it, well, I want to just say this to you. When you caught up on that first sentence there and you're like, oh, this guy's not going to have anything worthy to say because I've sworn, I've done a profanity. Firstly, profanities can be used in many ways for like emphasis mainly, and I use it most of the time for emphasis, not just to, I don't know, larrikin and lackadaisical. Anyway, so when you get caught up on that and you're like, oh, this guy isn't worth reading from, I'm not going to read the rest of Consciousazine. What if you just missed the golden alchemical piece for your life from me? And that is what I am. I'm sort of like a Time Lord here at the end of history, and people will come to me for a little alchemical piece of gold. It might just be one piece you need off me, but some people I have many for. And we interact strongly. But if our interaction for this life is just a mere, you pass me by and touch me once, and I give you one piece of alchemical gold, well, what if you just missed that? That's what I'm saying. You don't offend yourself first, then think. You think fifth dimensionally, in a fifth dimensional perspective, you just think, try and see the information rather than get offended by it or judge it or anything. First see it. That's why I call fifth dimensional perspective being the sight. Just being the sight. You see how it's exactly the same thing as Eckhart Tolle's going around talking about? So cognitive dissonance. I've always mentioned it. We may as well use this picture while it's in front of us and get the definition out. This is why people get upset when you challenge what they hold most closely, and they start acting very weirdly subconsciously towards you as well. People can do all these sorts of weird things from this. Mental conflict that occurs when beliefs or assumptions are contradicted by new information. The concept was introduced by the psychologist Leon Festlinger in the late 1950s. He and later researchers show that when confronted with challenging new information, most people seek to preserve their current understanding of the world by rejecting, explaining away, or avoiding the new information, or by convincing themselves that no conflict really exists. This is what we have in the world today. We've got apocalypse in front of your eyes and you're still not admitting it. You're still all walking to work, and you're still all doing the same zombie march and all this. Nothing's changed for some of these people. Cognitive dissonance is nonetheless considered an explanation for attitude change. I think it says that. So anyway, yeah, I run into this a lot. I call it running into people's brain barriers before I even knew that there was a moniker of cognitive dissonance out there. I used to just call it running into people's brain barriers. That's why I set animal traps. I don't want to waste a second of my day. Time's way more precious than money. So I'm going to redirect the conversation back to your life, Melissa. All you've told me so far is your son eats seaweed chips. Come on now, Melissa. How am I meant to consult on that, hey?
Oh.
I need more.
Okay,
Tell me more.
Yeah, no, I do want to, because going back to the mushrooms, my eldest son, he turns 16 on the 17th, which is a really big day. 888 for your number people out there.
No one can
The
hear you.
888
No one can hear you, Melissa.
I know, so that's okay. Anyway, he's really wanting to... Yeah, I can. He's wanting to eat lots of mushrooms at the moment.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and me too. We just want to take them from the bag and eat them raw.
Really? So So you've suddenly
Yeah,
got
it's
a
and we
craving for mushrooms, Melissa's telling me in my ear.
we both do, yeah. And we can't get enough of them. We want to try a variety. The variety that's
Well,
out there, and you can't get many in New Zealand. I don't think. I'm not quite
yeah.
sure. I need to study it.
I definitely recommend you get
So
that 24
listening to you before was
that
fascinating.
24 mushroom blend, Mel. Try and see if
Okay,
you can
I'm
get
gonna.
it. Yeah, see if you can order it. But it does say Australia doesn't accept it in, so be careful. You might want to email them or something, or check it out.
That probably means New Zealand won't either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might not as well. Anyway, so continue. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you've had a craving
Yeah. So
for mushroom.
my kids are natural. Oh yeah, big time.
It's interesting.
And yeah. And also oh, Jacob wants to say hello. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Hey, Jacob, how you going?
Here's a plaster. Thanks, darling. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention. Oh gosh, it's gone because he's confused me. Yeah, gone. Damn. Oh, my kids are born natural vegetarians. Like they just have never like wanted to eat
They've
meat.
never wanted to eat. What blood type are they if they've never wanted to eat meat and they're born natural vegetarians?
Yeah, my son only just went to meat when he hit his, and I always said it would happen, and the family never believed me, that he would hit meat when he turns into when he becomes a teenager.
Well, there's not.
And it's
Yeah, so people have this thing that they're so against meat, and yeah, there is definite merit in it. It's dead flesh and all this, and I don't even feel good like for a week or two after I eat it. I feel it in my body, the lower vibration and all that. Anyway, when you're saying you've suddenly got this, let's just stick on one point at a time. When you said you suddenly got this craving for mushrooms, that's very interesting. Firstly, I hope you can get that 24 mushroom blend because that's going to appease your craving for sure. Some of those mushrooms, the best in the world ones are there. Chaga, reishi was there, lion's mane, shiitake and maitake. All of those top mushrooms in the world were in there. So that's got to appease your craving if you can get it. Otherwise, just look in the health shop for something similar. Someone else might know about David Wolf like I do and have created their own mushroom blend in Australia. Who knows? Because that's what's happening now. I'm seeing these health shops really picking up what they're doing. Like I said, in the super kraut or sauerkraut little thing I posted on Facebook yesterday, it had ormus in it. And it had wakame, Tasmanian seaweed. So, I mean, I thought, what a product. It's got ormus in it. Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
Do you know about ormus at all?
No, you can tell me.
Okay. I will tell.
Okay. Cool. I like it.
Oh, pardon me. I'm just stretching. It's early.
That's a good catch. That's a good catch.
It's early.
I know. It's earlier for you than it is for me.
Okay. Ormus.
I like your top.
Pardon me?
I like your top. Sorry to diverse, but I like your quicksilver
Oh, you're
top.
watching me. That's right.
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah. So, when did I first find out about ormus? There's a website, a dating website, where I was on. I won't mention the name of it, but there's a dating website, and I met a girl, and she was not really like a hippie or anything. She was your typical sort of person, I guess you might say, but I know how that sounded. Forgive me, but just for lack of wording right now. And what I meant to say was she was not like a great. She wasn't like an Einstein. She wasn't like a druid. She wasn't like a pagan on some pagan prerogative of tinctures, tonics, and elixirs or anything like this. She was just your average sort of girl, so to speak. Went to work, etc. So she introduced me to this stuff, and she said, "Oh, this is ormus." I'm like, "What?" I think I'd heard of it before. I can't remember now though. I think I'd researched it before I actually met her. So that was the first time I tried it, but I think I already knew about it. Either way, I was like, oh, what? You've actually got some. And And I was a bit confused about the whole thing, I remember thinking, well, what's in it? And she was trying to tell me what's in it. She's saying gold, and I'm like, what? Oh, this is that stuff. And I think I started remembering, and I'm like, please give me a shot. Because it was so expensive, she didn't really like offer me one. I just saw her taking it when she was getting ready one morning. And so I took a cap. Half an hour my brain like buzzed in the limbic middle part. Probably all the way from what we talked about before. Let's go at the top of the page and we can probably get you the exact brain centers. Parietal lobes, no. So this part, the pineal pituitary through the lens of septum pellucidum, that into the quantum minefield, that would have been the part that was from this almost drink being invigorated, that whole limbic system, the middle brain. And let's go back down to the post we were on. Sorry, that's going down. Yeah, so those parts of the brain were like tingling. Basically, the crystal room, or the Eye of Horus diagram from the Egyptian-minded way of seeing it, was tingling in me. So that whole Eye of Horus was tingling. And I thought, what is going on here? For like half an hour it tingled, and then I was talking to her more about it. Turns out there was colloidal silver in there. Colloids are just like pieces floating in a medium, so just mean bits of silver. So it's colloidal silver, and that alone, I had a friend years ago, she had that like whenever she, I think she had it whenever she got sick, she had more of it, but she would take it just usually like a couple of times a week, and it would stop her getting a lot more sick, she said. And it's true, because on Natural Remedies Guru page, I've got a post on colloidal silver, and it's 600 anti-pathogenic effects. 600. So that's huge. Right, so it's this drink, this ormus that this girl gave me had colloidal silver, white monoatomic gold, which is like the ormus part of it, and Celtic sea salt. And it was the best one I ever had. Months later, I bought one off the internet from Sunshine Coast, where I grew up the coast here, and it was no good. It was like a 5-minute tingle, and it was very ephemeral. So that's why we try the best products as well, so we know the difference, so we don't waste our money as well, and waste our time, more importantly. Because, you know, I've mentioned eating for ebb and flow, for evolution, wherein the next thing you eat should be the most apt thing for your evolution. If you feel like you need to eat protein, go have your hemp seeds or whatever. They're 40% protein or something, or you know, and mix it with your coconut oil and make your beverage and so on. Eating for the next part of the evolution, or do I feel like blueberries, or like do I need something for my brain right now? Does my brain feel a bit something foggy or something? So well, that's what I'm talking about. Eating for ebb and flow. I've mentioned this before, so it makes sense to choose the best products for that ebb and flow and not waste half of your ebb and flow, right? Anyway, we don't even have to say limit processed foods and replace non-vegetable carbs with healthy fats and all that, because I'm sure people know the basics these days. Well, a lot of people don't, but they're not the people that I really want to see. I'm more of a teacher of the teachers, not to sound too arrogant. So here's a nice article. What people think of love, what love actually is, a molecule. I think that must be oxytocin they're showing there. So you can see love is a very complex molecule too, by the way. Very complex molecule. So people worldwide may feel mind-body connections in the same way. There's an article here from Medical Express, which is the offshoot of my favourite science website on the web, fizzle.com. Anyway. So here we go. The researchers coaxed Finnish, Swedish and Taiwanese participants into feeling various emotions and then asked them to link their feelings to body parts. They connect anger to the head, chest, arms, and hands. Also, Osho used to talk about when you eat meat, you get like this tiger sense. And it's so true. After I read that, I get like this sense in my hands. Let's show everyone I'm doing it to Melissa. I get like this sense in my hand, like ripping and tearing more when I eat more meat. It actually, I feel that more. So that's funny that they've said here they connect the anger to the head, chest, arms, and hands. Those areas do get sore in me more when I eat more meat, including the chest, yeah. Disgust to the head, hands, and lower chest. Pride to the upper body, and love to the whole body except the legs. As for anxiety, participants heavily linked it to the mid-chest. And there's a diagram there. Melissa, I could share my screen. Let's do this so you can see it.
Oh.
Tell me if you can see my screen now.
Oh,
Can you?
That's better,
Nice, you
yeah.
can see my screen. Sorry, I could have had that up for you the whole time too.
That's okay, I enjoy watching
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, good. I can watch the video when you put it on YouTube.
Things slip my
Cool.
mind sometimes.
Oh,
So yeah, that's what I was just reading from there. The anger, fear, disgust, happiness, sadness, surprise, neutral. So you can see that they've got parts that are heated up. That's also interesting, isn't it? Let's have a look for a second.
you've gone quiet though. By putting that picture up, you've gone
I've gone
quiet on me. I can hear you, but you're like whisper quiet now, but I can still hear you.
Oh, I wonder if everyone else can hear me. I better take it off, Mel, just in case.
Yeah, go on. Yep.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
know. Okay, am I back on camera? Sometimes it
Yep.
doesn't. Oh, okay. Sometimes it doesn't.
Oh,
Can you see me?
I can
Cool.
see you. And I can hear you.
Let's move
It's quieter.
So it's interesting that these had, while you were looking, you would have seen this too, Melissa, that there was like blue parts and what looks like to be like heat, because the anger is in those areas that they said it was affecting the people. It's got the color of like yellow and red and heat, or by a thermodynamic look of things. It looked like it anyway. And neutral is like black and dark blue. And so it looks like less inflamed, really, isn't it? And less positive charge. And then, is that, yeah, depression also. Whoa, this is very interesting.
Can I say something?
Yeah, you can, because I'll know what to say.
I'm going more raw food vegetarian myself, and I am just I'm not angry anymore.
Yeah, a lot of anger does
I'm
recede when you eat like the raw diet. Yeah. It's because, and it's obvious that it's contained in these animals' hormones they're releasing when they're dying and all this stuff, but also in their energetic body if we're murdering them. That's what people don't talk about. What about the, the fourth dimensionality of them and all this, Anyway, so back to this picture. I thought this was very interesting because, see this right here, this, 1 second. We just wanted to make sure we were recording. So see this picture here, how the light blue colours, they seem to be like the less inflamed parts, right? That's what it looks like to me anyway. And why is this so interesting to me right now? And I'm like in this tone of voice because I've got a theory that a video called Etiology of Depression. Now I'm not talking about well, actually I am. Depression has an affinity with novelty. Even on the time wave zero, Terence McKenna's software there, we can see, the trend of habit versus novelty of the universe. We can see that when the wave goes down, the density of connections increasing and the novelty is increasing. And when you're depressed, you're in a what? When you're happy, are you thinking? No, you're not. You're barely thinking. Like when I'm running around happy, I'm like, ah, that's not discernment. You can run into a bus that way. You know what I'm saying? So there's positive effects of thinking positively, endorphins and all this stuff, and it's really good for your body. And I do it at a certain point in my day. When I feel I need to release that certain chemical, I'll do that. This is lucid cognicality. I'm aware, I'm consciously awake of myself. You see what I'm saying? I release my endorphins and so on. Yeah, I still react to people, and we're moving from the pre-2012 universe of reaction to the post-2012 universe of creation. So that's what I was just sort of bordering on. Of course I still react and so on. Anyway, so there's a connection between depression and novelty in your life, and in general is what I'm saying. That's me theory. That's Benjamin Cauenberg theory. That's what I'm telling you, the world. And if you don't want to see it, well, someone else is going to tell you later and realize it later. That's fine. But there's a definite connection between depression and novelty. Now, I need to talk about this because this picture is very interesting in showing it visually. So notice when you're depressed, you're in a deep connotative state. You're really thinking about shit, right? You're really thinking about your life. When you're like, oh, why is my life like this? What? And you know, you come out of a bit and you're like, well, what can I do to make it a bit better and stop whinging about myself and all this, you know? And we all go through this. I've been through this enough. And every day, no. But yeah, I pretty much do go through it every day, and you should be if you followed the trends of the eschaton. Now epiphanies are momentary. It's not, you know, we had the cycles of consciousness. The mind pyramid of consciousness was extrapolated out by Dr. Kalman, where we have the galactic cycle in 2011 and the universal cycle in 2012. What that meant was epiphanies and great discoveries in the world in general and in your life, it's also mirrored there, were coming monthly, then weekly, then daily. And now you can basically be in what Terence McKenna called maximum novelty domain, wherein obviously when depression has an affinity with novelty, you've got the ability to all day, every day now be in a very novel state. Now, I notice depression, it has affinity with it. Now, there's a negative connotation attached to depression, and I can feel people's cognitive dissonance right now. And I'm not even in your proximity, and I can feel it. Because people connotate, I know. I look into the world and I see and I know that people connotate negatively on the word depression. They think it's a bad thing. Anger, a bad thing. Fear, a bad thing. Well, I beg to differ. Fear was used to keep us alive throughout history many times when the lion was attacking. Anger has made me produce Consciousazine.com. If I wasn't angry at how shit the world is and the way it's going, I wouldn't have done anything. I would have sat apathetically happy and been an apathetic pathetic, like many people out there. Anxiety, all the contempt, all pride, they all have meaning and reason. It's not a happenstance universe where we've come from a big bang for no reason out of nowhere and we're looking backward, trying to figure out what's going on. You're meant to be looking forward, inward, onward, and upward, and seeing things for reason and meaning, if you've got any clue, that is. Anyway, so the pride, yeah, I said before, pride's a sin, and I'm not going into that today. Terence McKenna talked about that too, so it's funny he knew it. I've got so much resonance with that guy, it's funny. Anyway, going back to this diagram, and the depression, and why I brought up this whole last bit of the conversation, look at the depression guy. He's light blue. Look at the colour. It's nowhere else on any of the other diagrams. They're all black. Yeah, look, sadness has got a little bit of light blue in his legs. That's why I stopped for a second and went, whoa, look at this diagram. It's affirming my theory. It's confirmation of my theorization, isn't it? I think so. And it's giving a positive connotation or balance into this world on depression. How so? Well, look how less inflamed he is in his depressed state. And I bet you he's going inward, onward, and upward, and he's having a good think about himself in this light colour blue state here. You see how he's less inflamed? Everybody should be looking at the screen. I hope you're getting what I'm saying here. Look at the neutral. It's even better than the neutral state, or the sadness state there, the light colour. So I'm not telling everyone to go out there and get depressed right now. So what's the meaning of all this, Ben? Well, firstly, to balance the perception of depression. That was the main meaning of my spiel just now. But secondly, yeah, I'm not telling you to go get depressed, but I'm going to add some things. Psychedelics will help you get into a state like that. And don't forget the connection with novelty, or density of connection increasing. Notice when you're in that happy-go-lucky state, you're not sitting there with that old statue. What's that statue outside the cathedral somewhere with old mate, the philosopher, sitting very deep in thought? You know that statue? It's pretty, yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing that when you're happy-go-lucky, are you? So you're not, the balance. We need to be happy sometimes, and we need to be in this sort of depressed state, we'll call it, other times. But you can't, because, you know, we have the ebb and flow of the universe. There is the spectrum, and there is polarity and duality. So I just hope that brought some balance to some people's views of depression. Now, I'm mainly targeting right then in that sentence, like medical doctors and stuff. I want, because you're meant to be healers, guys, you know. You've got to get the view balanced out and straightened up, in my opinion. It's the same thing with schizophrenia. They used to idiotically think it was linked to one gene, like you've got a bad gene, or he's the bad kid. Look at the bad kid with the bad gene. Well, that's not what's happened. That's not the truth. Because now, a few years later, wouldn't you know it, just a few, only a few years later they've found out that schizophrenia is linked to 42 genetic, I'll call them not markers, but openings. Why? Because if there's 42 genes being affected, it's a freaking bandwidth opening, people. Take a good look. What does it analogize to in this world? Everything can be analogized to something else, because that's the theory of resonance. Terence McKenna brought that forth, and that was my words. He hasn't said anything like that. But that's obvious to me. When there is a theory of resonance, everything can be analogized to everything else. Everything connects and all this, you know. Anyway. Manage your stress. Let's talk about that for a minute. So, obviously don't want to be depressed all day, every day, do we? Pardon me. Okay. There's something I mentioned the other day about clearing the efferent nervous system to Justine on the other video, health video I just made, and I was saying that I use music, like hot water. There was something else I mentioned. Also, EFT is good for the efferent nervous system. Emotional freedom technique. It's like an acupunctural-like technique. It sort of works on body electrics and emotionality and pressure pointing and all this, and body electrics. So you basically tap certain points and you say certain mantras. So yeah, it's a reasonable technique. Is there anything you want to talk about? I want to redirect it to your kids, because can you tell me something about what they're eating and stuff? You haven't said anything, Melissa.
We've been eating a lot of bananas lately. Really important.
Okay.
Bananas, and the best thing for breakfast, well, not the bananas, for your kids. Jacob's been eating a lot of bananas, and oranges, drawn to oranges very much at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah, just anything natural that Mother Earth provided.
What are you cooking them for, like a dinner?
Dinner? Oh, God. I've so gone off cooking because I just don't want to eat at the moment to stay in my light body, crystalline energy. I don't want to eat at all.
Really? You're not eating too much at the moment? Okay.
No, not at all. No, just shed massive.
So what are you cooking them? What are they eating, the kids?
Oh, just whatever they feel like. I've always gone with what their body tells them they feel like. So they tell me they want poached eggs. Like, for example, Violet and Jacob both wanted eggs yesterday, but Violet wanted them scrambled and Jacob wanted them poached.
You know, I'm just trying to because remember this is a health consultation. I'm trying to like upgrade your health too. Like not just talk to everyone upgrading the world's health and all that, but and the mass mind, but you specifically, because you've helped me out. So to do that, you need to tell me stuff as well.
Yeah, no, so anyway, one of my favourite things for breakfast, by the way, is two of the most powerful. So you take have a piece of really good whole grain bread. If you want to have bread and you need that fix of bread, like we have Vogels in New Zealand, I don't know if you have it in Australia.
I think so.
It's got massive, like you can get really good ancient grains in the bread and stuff like that, like grainy bread. Now, so a good piece of whole grain bread with avocado and banana. Because an avocado a day, they say, I can't remember the saying. You should have an avocado a day.
Yeah, an avocado a day I really recommend because it's got glutathione in it. That's a thyroid detoxing hormone. And remember, hormones are master switches, so you can eat all the vitamins and minerals you want all day, but don't forget hormones are sort of over them, or larger in scope, and they switch on stuff to make stuff work, to make minerals integrate into your body and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? They're like a larger in scope almost sort of thing, hormones. So they're very important. So yeah, I definitely recommend an avocado a day or so. But you know, well, here's a good little post for you, Melissa. Like, I guess I'm not gonna like give you like a health nutrition plan because you're already eating well enough by the sounds of it. I don't really need to get too nitpicky with you. You know, you're gonna do your own thing, and I'm giving you loads of information. I'm sure you'll slowly seek things out for yourself. Anyway, here's a good thing. This is what type of pot you want to cook with, and it's grade 316 or 316 steel. It's the standard, so grade 316 is the standard molybdenum bearing austenitic grade. Second stainless steel in importance to 304. The molybdenum gives 316 better overall corrosion resistance properties. So that's why I've said it, like it's more resistant to corrosion in chloride environments like the water that we cook in our pots. Because we're drinking our own piss poo and adding chemicals to it. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, that's a good one by Rumi, a good little quote. Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure. And that's by Rumi. Now, before I said I was talking about depression. So yeah, you'll get there. It's a natural occurrence. You can't avoid it. And if you're avoiding it, I dare say you're a spiritless human. Don't get lost in your pain. So, you know, when you do encounter the novel, complex, and the cone shape of the depression and get sucked into the vortex, don't get lost in that vortex and stay there. You can come back out. And this is the second part of the quote. Know that one day your pain will become your cure is very important, I think. So concentrate when you're depressed. It's not just erroneous. And like, how is anger erroneous? It's not erroneous, it's showing you something. Something is abrasing you to make you angry. And, you know, anger is like a poison when you're holding it and trying to direct it towards someone. That's a bit silly, you know, and I don't hold it for very long. I've started holding it for less and less lengths of time. That's something you can do, but I don't know about completely just always avoiding it. It might. I mean, yeah, there is that, you know, that's the whole Zen idea and all that. And I don't want to really talk about that too much right this second. But, because I'm trying to lean on, you know, the opposite of happy today. I'm trying to say, hey, don't forget the opposite. You know, and there is use and reason and meaning to
this depression and stuff like that. As in, it's not just negative. Anyway, let's move on to the chakras.
Oh, one of my favourite subjects.
Because if you think about it, when you're depressed and you're being sucked inward, onward and upward, or you're being sucked inward within yourself, it's a good thing. That's the universe coming through you. And as Rumi also said, the wound is where the light enters. So if we're talking about ascending or getting smarter or anything, novelty and depression is gonna make its face appearance. You can't avoid it. Chakras are located at points where nadis intersect. Now, I have said the nadis are not like a nervous system. However, I understand what all these people are saying when they mean that, when they say that the nadis are like a nervous system into the hyperspace, I would call it. However, I see the nadis much more like a fifth-dimensional lymphatic system for reinitialization of vibration, and thus it's like acting like the lymph system, bringing in this unpolarized fifth-dimensional crystalline light to clear out all the third dimensionality stuck on your nervous system, for instance. Do you understand what I'm saying? All these loops on your nervous system are third dimensionalities. Remember I said what a third dimensionality is before. It's not just a cross-section, it's its own zonal reality. A particle is its own third dimensionality. It's a third dimensionality. You are a third dimensionality too. Your whole star streams back into your soul and all that. That's your eddy off the main current, so to speak. So this is a good little article, and it has a very eclectic setup, which I love. I'm in love with when people make eclectic stuff like this, because it's like all there sort of thing. First chakra, location, root base of the spine, so we all know that. Sanskrit, and people know that, colour red, know that, earth, da-da-da. But then they've gone better. You know, many chakra charts have stuff like this too. Unity, identity, ego, birth, death, what it's to do with. The first chakra to me is also to do with social, and that's why you can feel yourself connected to everything on earth, and all life, via your root chakra. That's what I mean by social, not just the social cultural context. So, governs perception, all this stuff. Malfunction, weight problems, eating disorders, constipation, sciatica, arthritis and knee problems. Healing techniques, and that's why I'm happy with this little excerpt here, because they've got this whole last section here. Music, tribal drums, affirmations, I am here on earth, I am solid, I am alive, and just imagine yourself connected to everything on earth. Then they've got yoga poses, mountain, squat, standing forward, bend, garlands, child's pose. And it says, you know, connecting with Mother Earth, Pachamama, soles of the feet, Mula Bandha. Then it's got the pranayama for this root chakra is the Ujjayi breath. And then if we go down the second chakra, we can see the same thing. They've got pranayama, alternative nostril breathing, and I've done some research for you guys there. And we can move down to the solar plexus. We can move to the solar plexus here. And what have I done here? It says practice karma yoga. And the pranayama for this one is the breath of fire. I've got a link there. The practice for this chakra is karma yoga. I've also got those links there. You can read through that. Practice for the fourth chakra. What does it say here? Pranayama is the full yogic breath for the heart. I need a drink. Sorry everyone. Okay, pranayama is the full yogic breath So I've got a video there. The practice is Bhakti Yoga, Yin Yoga, and Restorative Yoga. So Yin as opposed to Yang sort of yogas, and you can look into that. Vedanta philosophy, Hindu yoga, Bhakti. It's good for this one because that's a Yin yoga. The fifth chakra, pranayama for this one is the bumblebee breath. You want to quickly check that one out? Let's have a look. I've forgotten what that one is. Let's put you on share screen again.
An alliance.
So you can
The
see
Whitey
what we're
Bulger's
looking at.
ex-convict.
Can you see?
He's an invaluable asset.
Today I've got a bite-sized episode of Surviving Yoga. That was silly. Today I've got the perfect breath that you can use to calm anxiety and reduce stress. It's called the Brahmari breath, also known as bumblebee, and this is why.
Can you see this,
You're going
Melissa?
to inhale,
Yes, I can see
and
it,
then
yeah.
exhale. And
I'm
repeat
not
as
sure
much as you
anyone
want.
can
And
hear
you can
that
even do it
because
to
it's
freak
on
out
my
your friends.
microphone.
If you love
It
bumblebee
might be doing
breathing,
system
make
audio,
sure to
but I'm going to take my microphone out for a
subscribe.
second so you can all hear the bumblebee breathing noise.
Known as bumblebee, and this is why. You're going to inhale, and then exhale. And repeat as much as you want. And you can
I
even do
love
it.
that. Oh my gosh.
So
Thank
this
you.
is where I'm reading off the Amalgam Maximum Novelty Health Guide. Yeah, so got the practice is the chanting mantra yoga. So that's the practice for the fifth chakra. And meditation is Tonglen. I don't know what that is. Go have a look. The sixth chakra, the third eye. So Rene Descartes is the modern, well, one of the modern founders, you might say, of science via calculus, and calculus is definitely a cornerstone of modern science. Descartes, he called the third eye the seat of the soul, and he was referring to pineal and the singularity of, and going up into your soul template that way. Now, the third eye is a chakra, not a gland. People say to me, the pineal's the third eye. I go, what? I go, how's the pineal the third eye when it's a gland? No, they work in association, and we're a body. We're a body, and a body always has systems and connectivities like this. So we're from the higher dimensions down into the lower dimensionality of ourselves. And the practice is Yantra Yoga. The meditation is Vipassana, insight meditation. Seventh chakra, the crown. Music, the sound of silence. That is the sound for the crown chakra. Actually, I will now teach you the sounds, or at least in one model, for all the chakras. So we're going Yam, Sam, Lam, Ham, Om, and then silence for the crown. Anyway, back to what we're reading. The pranayama for the seventh chakra is the ocean breath. Practice is Raja and Jnana Yoga. Meditations, Zazen, pure awareness and mindfulness. So, that brings us to the bottom of that page. Holding in negative emotions such as grief and anger is exhausting. Now, naming them and releasing them regularly through writing, movement, tears, singing, or making sounds frees us up to live full, vibrant lives and reinitialize the fifth dimensional light through us and all that. Now, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said, dude. No, so that's what I'm saying, you know, that it's for reason and meaning, and not to keep it in. I'm not saying to keep it in. I'm saying that anger's not erroneous. While it's not a good idea to hold it, it's not erroneous, right? And I read an article on physorg.com years ago. So scientists scientific view of this, I was going to say scientists are aware of, the scientific view of this is, geez, I'm a smart ass. The scientific view of this is that, you know, the article was reading that it's a good idea to let it out, you know, to keep things in, like this little quote saying, isn't a good idea. And, you know, anger, like holding anger is like a poison. Like you're holding a poison expecting someone else to die from it. So, anyway, and here's my little equation. Love, light, love equals light, which equals information, which equals knowledge, and wise is in the middle. That's meant to be over the other side, that part there. Anyway, so that's that page, just a little overview of that one. Gives me something to talk to you about in that. Okay, so that was for Melissa, a little talk for her. She's just gone to the toilet quickly, and I just wanted to quickly end with what I was telling her. I felt like the talk all ended there on that last picture down the bottom. We sort of came full circle on the depression idea and all that. I was just telling Melissa how today I was going over the talk like, oh yeah, we covered this, and I thought, oh yeah, I got the idea of eclecticy across again to you all. I'm always trying to get the idea of eclecticy across to you because it's the Andromedan enlightenment. I was telling her the Andromedan galaxy is moving a certain way in conjunction to our own galaxy, the Milky Way, which is like the masculine male brother of the Andromedan feminine galaxy. Now, the Andromedan, the Arcturian alignment is happening via the Andromedan enlightenment. That's the current enlightenment on Earth. And Melissa, I'm just telling people what I just told you, 1 second. And so I was just explaining to her that the eclecticy, and why I'm always trying to get the eclecticy across, is because it's got to do with the Andromedan enlightenment. Part of that violet, purple light. For some reason, there's eclecticy in the vibe of the light coming from Andromeda. Don't know, but for instance, I'll explain more. The Syrian light, I can see reverberated in our world, the strength in us. Syrian light's this hard beam. I can't penetrate the Syrian. It's like it's unpenetratable. The Syrian light is like this platinum beam or something. Like I don't even think it's platinum. I don't want to say that because I think the platinum beam comes from the Pleiades, and it's a platinum perfection beam. And also love comes from the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. And remember, I think it was the Cambrian explosion, but there was explosions associated with ammonite creatures, early life on Earth, the ammonite explosion of population. And so love is associated with Pleiades and home, very hominess, and you can see that because if the early life on Earth was started by the Pleiades light, of course we're going to have an affinity with it, right? Because you are the ants, zinc is in your body, you're made up of all the animals, you're the apex, you're the concrescents. So I was just explaining to Melissa the feel of all these lights, of all the starshine. The Arcturian light, I never heard someone say this, it seems algorithmic to me. And hence the IT, right? Look at the correlation. This like blew my head away the other day. Because I study IT as well. So obviously this is all very much for my path. Another bit of info for my path to teach everyone. Now the Arcturian light has this controllingness about it, but it's penetratable, it's light blue and I can penetrate. The Syrian light's like this beam, you can't get, it's like ping, ping, you just come off that thing. And the Syrian light's the strength, it's Syrian Riddick, or Riddick, remember that movie with Vin Diesel? Riddick, that's Syrian energy. He carries a lot of Syrian energy in that movie, with the eyes and everything. The Syrian indigo star seeds, you'll see that in my eyes when I let it come out. But I won't let it come out all the time. Because sometimes I have to hide on this earth, because there's dark people everywhere. Anyway, so the Arcturian light has this controlling aspect about it. Not only not only does it have an algorithmic aspect, but the Octurian starshine seems to have this controlling feature. It said the Octurians are very high. Remember, dimensionalities are not just manifestations of densities or layers of light. Dimensionalities are worlds within worlds. There's beingness and beings in these dimensions. So when I explain, the fifth dimension as a physical correlation, that's all I'm explaining in that explanation. But then there's beingness to dimensionalities. We don't talk about them because I'll seem too esoteric to normal people. And I'll do that one day on stage. I'll bust it all out, all the esoterica. Anyway, so the Octurians are said to be very high, and it's light, blue light. Syrian light is a very white light. God, it's a beam. Anyway, and the yellow light of the Pleiades, and this loving, more like that energy. And then this algorithmic, Octurian light. That's how it feels. And it's controlling too. There's a control aspect about it. Not in control, again, we can have a negative connotation on everything in the world. And that's why I mention this, because I can feel what people are going to think. It's telepathy. The controlling aspect of the Octurian light is obvious, because we're going into a new world order. The elites are trying to control the whole populace of Earth. That's how that resonance is playing its way through, you see? So I want people to look deeper at things. That's my whole rigmarole of the Benjamin Cowan Burgo. Right? I just want people to look deeper into it, not see it at its face value, because why are we hating on everybody when we can seek real value? Yeah, we use people, and things are to be used. What's that saying again? We use people and we love things. Well, we should be loving people and using things. And, that's another one of those backwards things. So namaste in Lakeshte is what I say. Let me just quickly explain what I reckon about namaste and in Lakesh, the nomenclatures or monikers, because I seem to hear the Gnostic ring of words. So it's like there's words that have been created by these spiritless humans in just copying and mimicking. But there are soulful words in our language, like connotation. So etymologies can be fucked up by these people. But there's these words that sometimes I find words and I can feel them and feel a Gnostic ring to the word, and what it for some reason, all of a sudden a channel or a download will hit me on what that word really is trying to say and mean. Because remember, words are just dancing around the meaning. The words themselves are not the meaning. Yeah, so I hear the Gnostic ring of words, and it's very interesting. What was I saying? What was I going to talk about though? I just forgot. The Gnostic ring of words. I was going to say which words. What was I talking about, Melissa?
You hear, you're saying that you hear,
Yeah, but which words? I forgot which words we were talking about.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, we're back. I remembered. Thanks, Melissa. Namaste and in Lakesh. Yeah. So I hear the Gnostic nomenclature of words, I call it, the Gnostic ring of some words, the Gnostic words, not the surface-created, mimicked etymology words, I might say. So namaste to me, the namaste, the general meaning everyone throws around is, I see the light in you that's in me. That's what most people, when they say namaste, you ask them what does that mean, that's what they'll tell you, right? That's what everybody else has told them. That's a horizontal way of living. Is it even namaste then? Is it? Think about it. Because I've said the definition of spiritual is being vertical in your own light column, or you can be horizontal, just made up of others, and that's those organic portals, the 2D people, the flatlanders, right? Obviously there's both, and we can do both, but there does seem to be these people who are the flatlanders, and there does seem to be people who are much more esoteric and much more spiritual than me out there. You know, I feel I'm quite balanced. Like, I don't feel too either way, you know. Anyway, so the Gnostic nomenclature of Namaste, and that's funny, but I've never realized that before. They've picked it up horizontally, you know. Anyway, so, and is that even Namaste? So Namaste, what people will tell you it means like, I see the light that's in you, you know, it's the same light in you that's in me, and I'm seeing it. So in Lakesh to me, and then people say in Lakesh, and they say, no, let's do it the way I was going to do it. I was going to connect the two. Sorry, we'll stay on Namaste for a second. I'll finish Namaste before I move on. So Namaste to me really means, I see the name, I see your language. Terence McKenna came out and he said, everything's made of language, not little balls floating in some space. And I've shown you via dimensional creation how this might occur. As word, as the primal creator, we can see it reverberally refracticated in, you know, as above, so below in our life, in the below part. To me, Namaste and seeing the name or the light or the language, the primal word of the creator, is going through the down-dimensional process of creation to create things in second dimensionality. We have objects floating around in front of us and stuff. Namaste means to me not directly what everyone's saying. It means to me something deeper. Namaste to me means that I'm seeing, yes, the light in you, but the light has language. I can see what language you're using to me, and then imagine every other thing that you could have said. Why did they choose to say that? You know? And that's what it's saying. It means, you know, yeah, I can see you fully. Basically it's saying I can see right all the way into your language, to your coding. I can see your nervous system. I remember a video I was watching by Teal Swan. Do you know Teal Swan? No, okay.
No.
Well, a lot of people in the sort of New Age movement will know her, and Teal Swan has a lot of great videos. Awesome, a lot of good videos. And she was saying, now I've forgotten where I was up to. Again, stop the tape. So Teal Swan in her video was saying how she can see people's nervous system, because she's a healer like me as well, and she'd be a starseed indigo and all this stuff. And so she's a healer like me, and she's saying how she can see people's nervous systems, and yeah, I can too. And I actually pick it up so quickly that I can't spend more than a few hours in the computer laboratory where I am right now at university, because I'm an empath and we pick it up real quick. And that's why we have to know how to meditate. And not become it, not become their self-fulfilling, psychopathic, subconscious prophecies of us. That's what's happening. I'm sick of it. Anyway, what I was saying about Namaste and Teal Swan, she was saying she can see people's nervous systems now. Yeah, so can I. And many of the starseed indigos and stuff, we can do this intuitively and induction reasoning and etc. And you can see it physically. Physical correlations too, and demeanor and posture and everything, etc. So yeah, we can see that. But when you're saying Namaste, you're saying I'm not just seeing your nervous system or your cells or your inflammation or your thoughts or whatever. You're saying I can see everything when you say Namaste. That's what you're saying when you say Namaste. And in other words, yeah, it is basically saying I'm seeing the light in you that is the same light in me, which is that light, which is God. The light is God, and it's a still single light. When it's all motional light, think atoms, they're moving, come from. Now when I'm saying namaste, you're connecting all the way through. So I just wanted to expand that whole meaning for people. Now in Lakesh, and why I say in Lakesh Day, it's because I've done a portmanteau, connected the words. But in Lakesh means, to me, in Lakesh means etched from the same field, light field. In Lakesh, it almost says it, in etched, like it almost says etched. That's what it sounds like almost, you know. That's why this Gnostic nomenclature of words, I want everyone to look at words. Now, this whole last section here, where we've been talking about this esoteric stuff, is like completely a different talk now. So this is just like a bonus track on a CD. Anyway, so I'm about to finish. So in Lakesh, means to me etched from the same field, you know. People go around saying in Lakesh means I am another you. That's what people horizontally will say. They've picked it up from someone else and they'll repeat it. That's horizontal picking up and repeating. That's all surface stuff. Now, to me, when I thought about it, I went inward and onward and upward and so on, and I had a real good think about it, I thought, yeah, it means etched from the same field. So I'm not changing the meaning of either words. I'm just trying to add meaning for you all to see better. That's all. So in Lakesh, etched from the same field. Fifth dimensional field, the loop and warp of web. And what are we moving into now? This age of Aquarius? This precession of Aquarius? Precession of equinox Aquarius? This age of Aquarius is going to be love and all that, return to divine feminine and etc. I know it all. I know about it all. But there's something else that people haven't explained, and that is very esoteric because only the starseed indigos are talking about it, and the new ages and all this. We're heading into 5D Earth, they say. That's what everyone's talking about. That's the latest craze in the spiritual realms. Now we're heading to 5D Earth. Huzzah! Yeah, finally, buddy. So 5D Earth is, like, remember I said before, third dimensionalities are eddies and zonal realities? That's the third dimension. Fifth dimension is this living light membrane, and it's shared meaning and telepathy. And what it really is, if you think about it, it's the membrane. It's a living light membrane. Now, why am I focusing on the membrane part? Because our cells, we've found out through biology of perception via Bruce Lipton and other people's work, that we used to think the nucleus of the cell was the smart part, like the brain running the operation. Now we've found out the outside of the membrane of the cell has intelligence in letting things in and out. And it's got some intelligence about it. And actually the nucleus is more like a little factory that receives orders. So the fifth dimensional Earth would be then, hence the correlation. We can see it already. I've said water is a fifth dimensional correlate. How does water work? It absorbs memory. It's just like the fifth dimensional light is an unpolarized light ready to receive. And it's ready to receive the sixth dimensional geometry and archetypy. It's got to put down into lower dimensions and the tones and whatever else from the higher dimensions, right? So
It's good.
sorry, I lost track again of what I was saying. So yeah, the fifth dimensional Earth is that same idea. We're all going to come into shared, loving, telepathic alignment. What's that mean? Well, we should get the fuck off the planet and go to space. That should be our shared meaning, because we're doing inward resource cannibalism, using oil to gather coal and etc. We can be using the sun to get enough energy to make everybody out of poverty, everybody in their correct positions, so no static in humanity, and then blast off into an abundant universe where there's way more than enough. There's 6 times more iron ore than on Mars than there is on Earth. So this is the shared telepathic alignment that's going to come about on Earth, and also another one would be to love everyone, and you know, etc. So there's going to be all these shared meanings. That's a fifth dimensional ideology, or that comes from the fifth dimension. It's a facet of the fifth dimensionality. So 5D Earth means, yeah, moving into love and all this stuff, and telepathic alignment and all that. But do you see what 5D Earth really is? And can you see the internet's doing it too? It's working along with the resonances of the zeitgeist of the times in creating physical correlation. You know, because everything's downloaded into making physical things, so we shouldn't just be against having physical things. We just shouldn't let physical things rule us, you know. So you can see that 5D Earth then is going to be a connected state, right? So that's all this 5D Earth really means. Very extrapolated. I just haven't heard a lot of people say it all the way through, sort of thing. All the connections there. So I've told you a lot today about the fifth dimension, so you should be able to see that out in the world now. I'm feeling like shutting the video off and doing something else, so I hope I've helped you all today. And we need to thank Melissa for donating and getting me revved up enough to talk, revving up the engine of me to talk, and giving me a chance to get everything I know and think out there. So this is Benjamin Cowenberg from Consciousazine.com, and I hope you all have a good day. Is anything else you wanted to say quickly, Melissa, at all? Or?
No, it's fine. Perfect.
I think it's been a pretty good talk. I might connect this to video 1. I have done a video with Melissa already before. All these videos are in the Consciousazine playlist on YouTube. Yeah. In Lakeshte! See you, everyone.